Hey Grogu, what's up? Are you excited to see Uncle Joseph? I take that as a yes.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed, Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode, I've lost count, 118, 119. I don't know. We did 2 shows over the weekend that I haven't put up. We did it on YouTube. I'm a little, I'm still kind of DNC hungover. I didn't even go to DNC and I'm hungover. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and joining me later on is everybody's favorite Finnish idiot, Beak Beak. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We had DNC go on and all that stuff, so we got to talk about that. No guest. Well, we do have a guest, special guest. He blessed us with his presence for a little bit with messed up mic and all. So shout out to Greg Degani, the TOW 2002 first ever American world champion in 8-scale racing. He joined us to tell us some stories about DNC. So yeah, he joins us for the main interview. Thank you to Greg for coming on the podcast. It's always a pleasure when you come. We have to teach you how to stay still with your mic though. So, hey guys, it's I don't know. It's been good. I'm still in the DNC hangover. I want to shout out and say thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world, man. Thank you guys for all the support. None of this is possible. I enjoy my conversations that I have with people all around the world. One of the beautiful things of RC. So thank you guys. I mean that. And thank you. Shout out to all the patrons of the NNRC. You guys are making things happen, man. Hopefully travel is coming up here soon, and that will be because of the patrons. So thank you guys. Bought some new equipment. You all know that. Thank you guys for the patrons of the NNRC. If you wish to be a patron, you can check out the link in the written description below. So I don't know. Before I go on any further, I have to even thank the sponsors. So thank you to all the sponsors and the companies that support this podcast that is the NNRC. So shout out to Mayako first off the bat. We all know who Mayako is. Joseph and I touch on that in this podcast and talk about that. So please listen carefully to what we have to say about that. So thank you to Mayako. Thank you to Tekno RC. Tekno RC, they didn't really get podiums this week, but I think they had a good DNC. Maybe one podium, with Joe Bornhorst, but 4 mains in the Nitro buggy, 4 cars in the Nitro buggy main. Look at me. I'm still so excited getting all my words mixed up. That's really good. So thank you to Tekno RC for their support. JQ Racing. Hey, what's up, guys? We're still here. You're still my family. We ain't going nowhere. We're just multiplying. So, hey, listen up and be looking out for more details about what's going on with JQ Racing here in the future, the race team and whatnot. So I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere. Shout out to Beach RC. Brent went out to Vegas. Vegas. Why am I all lost? I've got Vegas in my mind. King of the streets. See? Brent went out to DNC, his first DNC. DNC sounds like he had fun. I haven't even really talked to him much since he got back, so I need to catch up with him, see how he enjoyed it. Shout out to SCRC, Sun City RC Raceway. They have the TNR fuel race coming up here shortly. Next month, the dates of the RCGP series. Shout out to Racecraft USA. Oh man, I heard you guys killed it. The Racecraft Rager. I heard lots of stories about it. Sounds like you guys had fun. That's awesome. I know Chase and them guys like to have a lot of fun. And, DNC is a festival kind of vibe, too. So it's good to see that. And shout out to them guys. They look pretty dialed out there in their pits and all that. That Racecraft's doing some good stuff. Check them out and get yourself a command module today. Shout out to House of RC. They're going to drop their app. By the time this is released, their app should be up. So you can go and download the app and fill out your profile there. Shout out to manscaped.com for supporting the podcast. Remember, cut through the jungle to find your manhood. If you would like to save some money and support the podcast, you can go to manscaped.com, use the promo code NONAME, and save 20% off your order. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic Cure Sport Traction. Shout out to Scooter for all his support. They have been a long time supporter of the podcast. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic. We have a promo code for that too. All of this is in the written description of all this podcast. So go show them some love. JQ Threads, check them out. Always doing something. It's been kind of quiet lately. Haven't heard what's been going on with that with Joseph. So, good stuff. And of course, shout out to Wally Builds for all his help. And hey, man, Wally had a good DNC. Not a good main, but man, that's racing. Like, it's that's all racing is. It's not it's not who finished, racing. It is like, it is racing. You can be good all weekend, and then when it comes to the big enchilada, something happens. We all know Fen knows all about that. Yeah, thanks for Wally. It looked good out there rocking the Wally Builds Mayako tent, looking badass. Got to get him back on this podcast. And he had fun, man. He looked a lot happier. He did this DNC than he did last year when I saw him on the hay bale with his like that. So kudos to Wally. He did a good job. And man, I thoroughly enjoyed DNC, watching it from home. Man, I enjoyed this race. And we're going to talk about a lot about this race in this podcast, and we're probably going to piss a lot of people off with our thoughts and stuff like that. As much as I enjoyed this race and I wish I was there, really, I do wish I was there. There are a lot of things that that we have to talk about that happened at this race. But otherwise than that, it looked like, nothing major, but there are some things that we kind of have to take into consideration. And I may get a little bit emotional in this podcast. So, but it is what it is, man. I'm emotional about RC, and I want it to be as best as it can be. And this is one of the best races in RC. This is supposed to be one of the biggest races in RC. And kudos to the DNC crew and the Thunder Alley crew, because I think they did a good job. The track was good, except for that drop-off feature, which I really hated, which could have been improved. But I think otherwise the track was really good, and I think Andrew and his crew did a really good job of, I've worked alongside Andrew, I've seen how much work they put into their races. So I'm sure he was happy to relax on Monday morning. And yeah, Joey, 22 years, man, putting on this race. This has become such an iconic race in our industry, and one of the longest running Nitro races there is out there. It's been 22 years. Congratulations, Jay Smoker. He got an award for perfect attendance of the DNC. And you know what? I got to give some shout outs to Live RC, because I always give them some crap. And I say this later on in the podcast as well, but I always give them some crap. And I have for many years. I've been a subscriber to Live RC since 2008. And man, I have to say, I was very impressed with the coverage and the new features they're adding. Yes, it wasn't perfect, but they'll work it out. If they go to PNB, they'll do some interesting things. And I know Brandon Rohde is trying hard, and I want to shout out to those guys. Live RC, Brandon Rohde, Tyler Hooks, Scotty Ernst. Well, you guys did a great job. And thank you for bringing us DNC and making it better. I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it without you guys. So big shout out to them. And man, it looked like an awesome time. Wow. It kind of is like that vibe. Like, I look at that and I'm like, I probably missed one of the better DNCs. My first DNC was in Arizona. Then Paris is just a little different. It's nice, but it's just a little different. But this looked and felt like a DNC, a real DNC. And hey, Nitro's the glory in the West Coast, man. So many Nitro buggy entries. I can't believe it. I'm so used to seeing e-buggy nothing against e-buggy, but I'm so used to seeing e-buggy outnumbering Nitro nowadays that it's good to see that the West Coast loves the Nitro and they like to burn it. So, yeah, good stuff. Also, man, I got a shout out to the new Jay Smoker Jr., which is Spin Radical. Congratulations on making your A-main and all that type of stuff. Good job. Congratulations to Frankie Contreras, Davey Bata, and Buddy, man. I talk about these guys later on this podcast, but I have to say it in the intro. Congratulations. It's so good to see all under 16, I believe. Nitro buggy podium and little Frankie, man, he swept DNC. What an awesome thing to see the youth doing good things in RC, because they are the future and we need to encourage them. So yeah, the youth are the future, not us old farts. Yeah, I just a lot to talk about. We have questions. I don't have any Manscaped news or nothing like that. I just me and Joseph just kind of got on. We started recording, and then we had Greg come on, and then we go all over the place on this podcast. But it's also been a while since I've had Joseph here recording, so it was good to catch up with him, and we talked about Mayako and all that type of stuff. So I guess what I'm going to say is, like, hey, enjoy the podcast. We go right into the Beach RC questions, and I want to say thank you once again and to everybody for all the support. We can't do it without you. And remember, when we talk on this podcast, we're not trying to throw people under the bus. We're just trying to show you that things can be better. We offer solutions and all that stuff. I think DNC is awesome. I think it can be better, and I think it can be used to promote RC to the masses if we do it properly. So with all of that said, I think it's time to go into the Beach RC Q&A.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Yes, thank you, Beach RC, for sponsoring the Beach RC Bench Racing Q&A. If you guys can, go to the affiliate link in the written description of this podcast and show Beach RC some love. It helps the podcast out. They are a brick and mortar hobby shop doing big things. Brent was at DNC, his first DNC. He had a blast. I hope you guys were able to pick up some NNRC decals from him. If not, maybe Wally might have left them with Wally. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll find out. So maybe Wally might have some decals as well. All right, JQ, we got some questions. As you knew we would. We'd have some questions this week. So we got to go. We got to answer them. All right, JQ, I have one question that this wasn't a question sent into the podcast, right? But I saw this question on the release of your book, Invisible Speed, which is doing pretty good. Top RC book in the RC charts, I would say. Number one book in the RC world right now. Congratulations. So if there was any other RC books in the world, you are number one right now. So you are the number one RC book in the world.
1 out of 1. Are there other books?
Yes, there have been other books, but right now I think you're the number one RC book in the world. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Quite an accomplishment. So anyway, this question actually comes from something in your book that I noticed, and this guy highlighted it. He's actually in Rich Greenwood. He asked, great book. He says, this seems a bit odd though. Figured this was priority number 1 for threadlock. And I believe he's talking about in the book where you say throttle brake link, threadlock is applied to just about every metal to metal attachment, with the exception of the M3 grub screws on the anti-roll bars and the throttle brake linkages. The motor also does not need to be thread locked to the mount. So please explain this, Joseph.
The screws that attach the engine to the mount from above, they actually stay in without thread lock. You just tighten them, they stay in. I think it has to do with how the mount expands due to heat. Mm-hmm. That would be my guess. Because, they don't need to be.
I've never seen you use thread lock on them, and I've never seen you have an issue of your car, like, that moving. And I don't use thread lock on them either. On the bottom ones, yes.
Yeah.
That come up from the chassis.
The bottom ones you need to, but the ones from the top. So if you have a split mount, mm-hmm. the screws that attach the top mount to the lower mount, mm-hmm. you don't need to thread lock those. And then the screws that attach the engine itself to the top mount, you don't need to thread lock those either.
Okay.
I never do. I just tighten them down and they stay in.
Sweet. I remember we had, I think On the Turn had this debate too about using thread lock on that, and some guys were like yes and no. Hey, I guess it can hurt, but you know, I honestly can say I've never seen you put thread lock on those things.
I also never thread lock the clutch nut. Some people do.
I do.
Now, I think also that thread lock doesn't work in the heat. So maybe, or many of the thread locks we use, maybe some of them do. But those would get really hot, I would think. So,
well, whatever thread lock they use at the factory to build the spec Qs, that's what we need, because that stuff is.
Yeah, and they, for example, just they put thread lock on all the linkages, which is an issue. You know, you have to heat them up to get them to loosen.
Yeah, they're overzealous with the thread lock to be truthful. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was interesting. I saw that a couple of weeks ago, and then a person commented on it, so I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah. So I think to explain just a bit clearer, I think what happens is with the engine and the top engine mount is that it gets really hot and it expands, but the aluminum expands more than the steel screw. So I think that's the reason why they stay in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you're sandwiching the aluminum mount or that engine tab, sandwiching that with a steel screw, and then as the part expands, the screw stays tight. Yeah. That's my reasoning for it. But there
you go.
Never use thread lock there.
There's the physics on it. All right. From my buddy Justin Huglin and fellow Star Wars nerd like myself. Okay, so no crazy questions this like last time, but here goes nothing. You called out a lot of young talent leading up to DNC and expected big things from them. There was some solid success from a few of them. What do you think of their performances, and would they have performed as well if the international folks could have shown up? So, yeah, I think, let's see. Let's actually, I should have probably had the main up here because I don't remember who was in the main now. But I would say Tyler Jones definitely impressed me. Out of all the young Midwest guys that were there, I mean, he made the Nitro final as well. First time ever at DNC. He did have some issues. I felt so bad for him, and he smacked that hay bale in Truggy. And then in E-Buggy, he was fast, but he blew out. And but you know, that's how it goes. I think Tyler Jones is the truth. I think he has the speed to do it, and I think he's really on the way. I think out of all those guys, Tyler Jones impressed me. But I don't even want to talk about the Midwest guys. I think the most impressive guy for me is Tanner Denny. Like, I did not expect Tanner Denny to be as good as he was, especially when he went out there and he came second in qualifying. I was surprised that he was that fast.
Yeah, he was probably the biggest surprise.
All right. And who, well, I mean, I'm not surprised Wiggins is there. Wiggins is constantly making A-mains, stuff like that. Spencer Rivkin had his best DNC in a long time, too. So, yeah, you know, we're going to talk more about this in our little DNC recap. But, yeah, who wouldn't have been there?
CJ Jellin hasn't really been active in RC racing as far as I can tell. And, he had a strong showing. And,
I would say the Fuller, I believe Mason made the B main, I believe. Ashton, man, hey, I'll tell you, I'm so pumped for Ashton. Like, even though he doesn't drive a JQ anymore, but he does. He drives TLR, sorry. He came second in E-Buggy, and I think he made top 5 in Nitro Buggy. So I'm really pumped for Ashton because, he used to be a JQ driver, and I like Ashton a lot, so I'm happy to see him do well at these races. But little Frankie too, but we'll talk about him in a minute. But if the Euros were under, I think we wouldn't have seen, I think Baltai would have been in the C main. So I I guess the better question is, out of Europe, who do you think would have been in that A main, Joseph?
Well, I think Ronnefalk would have been.
I think Ronnefalk would have won.
Maybe. See, I would compare Ronnefalk to how Cole did, you know, and he's usually way faster than Cole. And then Mayfield, yes, he won by 10 seconds or so?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, but he wasn't as dominant.
And he said in his interview also the car wasn't good or the car was hard to drive or something to that effect. So I think definitely Ronnefalk could have been there battling Mayfield or even ahead. And I think other drivers who would make the main are the, normal ones.
Yeah, I think if Ongaro would have been there, Ongaro would have made it. Barufalo and I don't know, man. There'd be a toss-up between like Yao, Boots. I think Boots could have been in there too. Yao, Boots, and people say Savoya, but I think Savoya wouldn't have been in there. Man, if they would have come, man, could you imagine how stacked that B main would have been?
Yeah, I just hope that now after COVID that we could sort of figure out what races we go to and try and get all the top guys to race together.
Yes, I agree with you.
So it would really be nice. Even this, like DNC, first big race of the year, imagine all the top Europeans go. Maybe from Asia too, McBride, who else? Get them over there.
I want to see
and
Bernard
really have
Zek.
a sort of really stacked field.
Yes.
It just makes it that much more special.
Right. Speaking of Australia.
That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, speaking of Australia, we always talk about Colin McBride, but I want to see Alex Bernardzik come and race more, and I definitely want to see the Thylacine come and race some more.
Yeah.
So, like, we always talk about Colin McBride, but there's other fast guys, in like, Alex is super fast, and, I would say Aaron's right now probably the third fastest guy in Australia. So, but he also doesn't race against those guys on a regular basis or anything too. So, would be interesting to see. Hopefully, this is the allure of DNC. Ken Spencer asks, why did everybody in the Midwest jump on the HB bandwagon? Well, I think that the HB car works good there, and it works good on the East Coast tracks, and
maybe good deals too.
Yeah, they were handing out some really good deals, man. I'm sorry, we've handed out sponsorships like candy, but so were they. And yeah, people like that. They like David. I mean, why wouldn't you run an HB car? You got David Ronnefalk, Cole's doing good things over there on the East Coast, going to races and stuff with people. So yeah, I know why HB is growing. I didn't realize HB is so big in SoCal. Wow, a lot of HB guys there in SoCal. Well, that's from Tyler Braun and Herzig and all those guys, so all good stuff.
That's one thing I noticed actually on the results. I was surprised that a few people who I expected to be higher up were surprisingly far down. I mean, Tessman is obvious. We don't know what's going on there. B-Main and wasn't even in a bump spot when he flamed out, by the way. I called that too. Not that he would be in the B, but that he would flame out. But then others like Ryan Pavidis, C-Main, Anthony Westergaard, C-Main, Steve Harris. He was, a couple of years ago, he was battling Mayfield for the win at some race at Andrelli. So he's fast, or he was fast, right? And he's what is that, D-Main?
Yeah, but
31st.
To be fair,
Carlos Arredondo, also local racer. You would think he's higher than 32nd.
Yes.
And yeah, then we have Herzig and Camden Lime. Lime was 41st.
Yeah.
Out of 45. So, I mean, what's going on there? Not the kind of results that we would expect.
Where did Spencer Heckert finish?
He was in the B main also, 18th. So really? Low down in the B.
Yeah. Well, I would say that he hasn't really... I mean, he just got the S-Works. He's only did SIC and this. I wasn't expecting him to, set it on fire. He still needs to get some time under that car. So, Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's like these guys, like, and Carlos Arredondo and Kirkman, even Kirkman didn't have usually Kirkman is there, like, you know what I'm saying, or close in the B and all that type of stuff, and he just wasn't there. And Westergaard too, to come to think of it. So, well, I think what it was, only 12 people too. You got to remember that, only 12 people in the mains. So, normally there's what, 15 or more.
Yeah, that's normal. Now it was 12.
Yeah. So that was a big factor. But, man, there would have been a lot of long lips if the Europeans had come. That's all I got to say. Europe versus America. Lucas Livingston. Not sure if you saw the video of the guy getting hit in the crossover jump at DNC. What are your thoughts about the jump? Well. I actually was in the Patreon Facebook group. I posed this question in the group, and we had a lot of mixed different responses. I know the guy who got hit personally, so I was messaging him after the incident and all that type of stuff. Like, I saw like what happened, his forehead swelled up and he's like got black eyes and all that stuff. And then I talked to him Monday or yesterday I think, and I wanted to check on him, and he said, I'm fine, Keenan. My hearing's a little messed up. I think this guy had a concussion, to be honest. You know what I mean? And he's lucky that's all he got. So to say this, look, man, that incident, like people, I know people say, well, he's an idiot. Even you, Joseph, he is an idiot to run out in front of the that and all that type of stuff. But I get it. Like, look, he just said, look, man, I try to marshal people like I like to be marshaled. He feels like, you know what? He goes, I'm an idiot. I said, look, man, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, that stupid feature is that, like that was going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm seeing this. I think I almost saw it happen at the 2018 DNC when he had the bridge. And when he put that bridge there, that drop off, sorry, I'm just like, oh man, that's so dangerous. So dangerous. So I guess to say,
it pretty much happens every year. We have that.
Right.
There's a close call. There's a super close call, or someone gets hit in the head.
Right. Well, we shouldn't
every year.
This dude we've seen the video, right? This guy, what if he'd have been turned to the side and that car hit him in his temple? What if it had been a little bit taller and that car smashed into his face? Look, let's run this scenario. Let's say the ambulance had to come for that guy, right? The ambulance comes to DNC, 300 plus people walking around, no mask. I know in that county or something, you ain't supposed to be able to wear a mask and all that stuff. And look, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life. Like, I wear masks, I do what I have to do because we have to do it here, and I would do it anyway if I was in America, because that's what I'm gonna do. But imagine if the ambulance would have showed up to this race, right? This dude's head's wide open, bleeding all over the place. His children are there, his wife's there, they're crying. The ambulance come. Next thing you know, the police are there checking on what's going on. Next thing you know, the media's there. Like, people think this is crazy, but this is a public park. Could you, this is not honestly, imagine if all this happened and then they come and see 300, 400 people, I don't know how many people, the 350 people walking around, just doing all this type of stuff. And then what happens there? I can see the headlines right now. Man injured at RC track when illegally, or something I can see that, man injured at illegal RC track or some RC race with having too many people, and then next thing you know, look at this, they're not like COVID and this. You don't know how ugly that could have been. That race could have been shut down. Thunder Alley could have been shut down completely, all that type of stuff. Like, people think, oh, Keenan, you're being too extreme. I'm not being extreme. I've been to too many races with crossovers and features like this. I remember I almost got picked in the head by a car at Fallbro. Remember that year we went Fallbro and had the crossover? These features, I get it. They're cool.
Crossovers are even worse and more dangerous than this drop-off, because the bridge drop-off, you can kind of still see that there's something going on there. Mm-hmm. But when you're marshalling and it's just a dirt jump sort of crossover, you don't really pay attention necessarily. You see someone crashed there.
Right.
And it's, hard to tell sometimes where the cars are coming from.
Right.
Because the jump also blocks your view. You can't see that there's a car coming,
Right.
But the bridge is kind of the most obvious of all that. crossover scenario.
So my thing was like, we need to eliminate this stuff. So then I rephrased it. I said, how do we make these features? If you're going to put these features in, how do you make it safer? So I think that my buddy, yeah, dude, he said, you got to make it taller. And I agree with him. If that feature would have come out to like, or even longer, if that feature would have come out more, so like where you was dropping off, so the drop off point was way above your head, I think it would have been safer. Somebody could have run out there and flipped the car over, and then the other cars would have been just jumping over their head. I mean, we should have cars jumping over heads anyway, but I mean, how many jury tracks have we seen with some crazy remember the 6-pack at DNC 18, how hard it was to marshal that and dangerous?
By the way, before I forget, the best thing about this race being at Thunder Rally?
What's that? Joey
couldn't make his stupid jumps on the front straight. So they actually had to have a straight there.
Right.
Because he wasn't able to make those dumb doubles.
Right. But that's so dangerous. Like, I get it. We want to have fun. We want to do bigger. But here's the thing, people. Are we going to kill somebody at a race? Like, because I'm telling you, we're lucky. We've been lucky so far. What happens when somebody gets killed at one of these races? What if that was a kid, man? We have to have, like, come on. Like, we have to think, man. We have to think. Yes, you have to think when you're marshalling too. I get that. It's a dangerous job. We have to think. But I know I've been there where the guy was thinking, like, I'm hustling. I want to marshal people. You forget that that's coming. So I guess, shit, we can't even get high-vis vests in America. So, and I think that's something that we need to have too. Everybody should have high-vis vests. So that's something I talk about. Look, man, we need to think of safety. We want to do cool things, but man, we have to understand, like, that shit could have been really bad. Like, really, really, really bad. We don't want anybody to get killed at one of these races. We come here to race and have fun and socialize and have a good time. We don't want any, like, imagine if somebody gets killed off the, man. What if that would have been a pro? I'm not saying that at higher levels. What if that would have been a pro, got a concussion, lost his eyesight, or lost part of his eye, his career over? Everybody would be like, oh, no, we can't have that. Think of it like that. What if that was your kid who got hit like that? Or your best friend?
These things won't change until something like that happens.
Well, I don't want that to happen. Because if that happens, then that, not only is it sad for the family and everybody involved, but it hurts RC. We don't need that happening in RC. We need good publicity. I want to get RC in front of people to show how, like, this can be a great family hobby and all that type of stuff, and you can have fun. Not people getting hit in the head and dying. No, it's dangerous, man. Too dangerous. If it's too dangerous, we shouldn't be there. The worst one was AMS. Oh, man, they had that jump. It was fun to drive, don't get me wrong, but it was super dangerous. And I didn't even know Cody then. He was a little shorter than he is now, but he had high hair. I swear one of those cars skipped his head and gave him a haircut. That's how close it was. And we just can't. I'm sorry, people. I know a lot of people are like, oh, don't be a pussy, lefty. I'm not being like that. I'm hit people. I have hit people, and it is the ugliest feeling in the world. I left the imprint of a Komodo Dragon 2 tire in the forehead of a girl one time at a race. And as soon as she didn't get hit hard, but the tire smacked her. I lost control of my car in there, and I went over the fence, and she was taking pictures, and it smacked her right here. And left a perfect imprint. I laugh now, but it left a perfect imprint of the tire that I was running in her head. And all weekend, my first big race ever, all weekend, guys, did you see that girl with the Komodo Dragon tire print in her head? Wow. And I'll be like, yeah, I did that. And I felt bad. And I think I broke a lady's ankle once too, to be honest. One of our big races in Bermuda, she's the hobby shop guy's wife. And she was like filming on the side of the track. And I kind of went off the side of the track during one of my qualifiers. And I just pinned it. Like, how you pin it along the straightaway, like if you're on the other side of the pipe. And so I'm pinning it down there, and she's right next to the pipe, right? And I just took her right out, man. This is with a 10-pawn hyper, often a 9.5 back in the day, or whatever they were called, too. This is one of these 8-pawn little things, and I was tuning. And, dude, I instantly came off the track and went check on her. She had to go hospital and all that stuff. Dude, that is the ugliest feeling in the world. I think I broke that lady's ankle, man. So I've hit people. So, yeah. For me, this is a big thing. Like, honestly, safety. I'm all about having fun, but we got to be safe. All right, enough about that. I got a couple of questions about that. All right, my question is for JQ. This is from David Bowman. I think that's how he says his name. First, Mayako question of the new era here. I guess that's what we call it. He goes, my question for JQ: What will the Mayako Service Center do, or what is he kind of worded this wrong. What the Mayako Center? Okay, what the Mayako Center will do, or what is expected, and how is their revenue model defined? So basically, he wants to know about these Mayako service centers and what to be expected, and how is this revenue model defined?
The idea is that because there are not enough hobby shops for the brands out there, I mean, with JQ Racing, we learned that we don't really have good representation with hobby shops. Chances are you go to your local track, your local hobby shop, and there are no JQ parts there. That's just how it is. There are too many brands right now. They already carry the most popular and common brands. So to be able to have good support in as many regions as possible, with Mayako, the goal is to have service centers, and they can be hobby shops or dealers, or they can be just individuals who are active in racing. So it can be someone who wants to run it as a side business, for example, that they buy parts, they carry the parts at the races and sell them. Or it can be so that they get a stock of parts from that country's distributor. So they get them on consignment as well, kind of. They aren't really selling them for themselves. They are holding the parts, keeping them at the track at the races, and selling them for that distributor. So they don't handle the money. They don't buy the parts for themselves. They don't sell them and receive money. They are selling them on behalf of the distributor. That's the idea.
Okay.
So it's a way to enable, or it's a way to make it possible to have better part support in more areas where there's no hobby shop that carries Mayako. And also it's so that it's made possible, it makes it possible so that the person who does it doesn't need to financially invest in it, or they don't need to run a business to do it. They can just be an active racer that wants to be a part of it, and they can have the parts, and they can sell the parts on behalf of the distributor.
What benefit will that person get from doing that?
Well, it depends on each service center will be its own case. So there's not one universal benefits package for those people. It depends on how involved they want to be and where they are and what exactly they are doing.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I guess the last point of that was, did we answer that? About the revenue model defined. I guess he's talking about the membership part as well, I guess.
Well, I don't know what he means by that, but the difference between Mayako and the other brands right now is that the car itself is only sold direct. So that means that people have to buy the car on Mayako.com, but then spare parts are sold like every other brand from anywhere, from the service centers, from a hobby shop that wants to carry the parts, from the distributors. So that's the main difference, that the cars can only be bought direct. And then the second difference is that instead of offering basically everyone a team drive, so, you want a discount, here you go, now you're on the team. That's basically what all the brands currently are doing. Instead of doing that, Mayako uses a membership model where you can't apply for a team drive, but you can become a member. So if you know that you'll be buying a couple of cars a year and you're actively racing, so you buy a bunch of spare parts, then it benefits you to pay for a membership, a one-time payment. And then with that membership, you get additional benefits, which include a discount. So a discount on kits and discount on parts. So all of these things will be explained in more detail by Mayako in the coming weeks. But the idea really is to make sure that the biggest benefit goes to those people who really are active and spend time and money and effort in the hobby. So they get the biggest reward also. Instead of the person who just, contacts the most companies and tells the biggest lies in their resume. You see what I mean? So it's a different approach. You have to invest a bit to get the biggest reward, the benefit.
Yeah, it's definitely a different business model. But you know what? I think we're seeing the current business model in RC starting to collapse. COVID has been proven on that. And I mean, like, it's pretty simple. Is it going to get to a point where as companies, we outprice ourselves? Are we going to start? I mean, like, people get, I get it. People need racing made expensive. People want to save money. I get that. But I mean, our pool's getting smaller and we're not focusing on growing the industry and getting more people in. And what are we going to start doing? Like, our company's just going to outprice themselves to where we just say, hey, here's a kit and $50. You're on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the problem is that right now there's a race to the bottom. So basically, you can win the race by losing at the same time.
Yeah.
You win the race because you're giving stuff for free. Or like you said, paying someone to run your stuff.
Right.
Okay, you have a lot of cars out there, but you lost at the same time because your business doesn't function.
Right. And I think we have to understand that in RC, like, as RC drivers, I get it. We need this and we want this, and I get it. You want to run all these classes and all this stuff. But man, like, at the end of the day, I think people are on the illusion like these companies are making millions and millions of dollars. I mean, yes, obviously there's some like Horizon. Like, I would say AE is in a good place. I would say Mugen is in one of the best places for just a racing company. But man, I don't think people understand that these chassis companies are out here that people aren't selling hundreds of thousands of kits. You know what I mean? This is so small. Like, it's funny. A guy says, "Oh, I heard that JQ's broke and COVID broke him and all this type of stuff." And I said, "Look, man, when you're already broke, when you're always broke, you can't go broke." So, people just don't understand, like, don't fathom. Like, people be like, "Oh, I said, like, dude, how much money do you think I make doing this a month? Like, I make $650 a month. Like, come on, who in their right mind can live off $650? Like, this isn't like, we're not making money here. Like, we're not making like a lot of money. But what with Mayako, it influx of money. We got a better car. You got a better car, and hey, I think you're gonna see companies starting to switch up things here a lot in the future because it's just not sustainable, man. And it's going to piss people off. But what do we do? Do we just run RC to where we don't have any racers, or do we try and change things now? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, this Mayako deal actually came about before COVID. So It really had nothing to do with COVID. But I guess COVID is also a bit weird because non-racing stuff is selling really well. Just racing stuff kind of suffered. So it's a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
But about Mayako, still the other benefit of it, why that sort of business model can work in this, is that it doesn't require as many car sales to still be profitable, and for Mayako to be in a situation to be able to offer a great product and also service for all the customers. So it's a way to organize the business, run the business where you don't need as many sales to be able to do a great job. So put out a great product and have great service for the community of drivers that use that product.
Yeah.
So that's something that with the amount of sales that JQ Racing has, for example, it's not possible to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If Mayako had the exact same amount of sales with the way the business is built up, it is possible to do that, and it would be possible to have a top pro driver 2022.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how it all works out.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see this car. I haven't seen it yet, so.
You can see a bit of the wing here. Sort of, you see a bit of orange there. That's the wing.
I'm so excited about wings.
Yeah, but it's attached to the car. The car is also here.
I can't see the car, you idiot. So it doesn't make it. I see the tip of a wing.
Yeah, it's here.
That helps me do nothing. That helps me see nothing. People, honestly, he has not showed me this car. Like I think I'm joking.
Anyone.
He has not shown me this car yet. I've seen snippets, but he has not shown me this car yet. He won't even tell me what's innovative on it.
You know what? I am being completely honest here. I haven't sent anyone a picture of it.
I've seen pictures of it. I have my spies.
No, there are no pictures of it.
No pictures.
I have never sent.
No, with no body on it. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anything. I'm just seeing like little snippets, you know? This is that, like parts and stuff like that. Don't worry. I have my spies on you. Right? I'm always watching, Joseph. Always watching. Remember that. All right. I know we're gonna have a lot more questions about Mayako over the time, and I think the biggest question I get is, well, JQ Racing, when you're live, I love it. People run with things. So basically, in your live, you said JQ Racing will be done as a car brand. Everybody does run with that. See, he said JQ Racing will be done. See, he said it from the horse's mouth. I even had to explain to it. It's like, people, well, how will you be a race team without a car? I said, we'll have a car. It'd be the Mayako. But it's not a JQ car. I'm like, no, it's not. It is a JQ car. It's designed by you because you are the designer. It's what you would have had. If this would have been JQ Racing, this is what you would have designed. You know what I mean? So that's what I try to explain to people. And they kind of get it. Like when I say, hey, just like Wally Builds is Wally Builds Mayako. Well, we become JQ Racing Mayako eventually, when we get cars and all that type of stuff. I'm excited. I'm super excited. At first I was a little, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this. And for change to happen, change actually has to happen. I say this over and over again, so I have to eat my own words and believe that too. All right. Okay, let's get on to some questions. We kind of beat the horse with that one. I want from Connie Swenson, House of RC. People, do not forget to go to House of RC and sign up your and get your profile going because it's some good stuff. I want your view on the different brands and how they were represented both on the track and in the pits. Tekno was the best represented brand in the A-mains, but didn't have any podiums except Bornhorst. S-Works and Agama didn't have any drivers in the pro A-mains at all. Comments. Well, I think there was only one Agama driver there, and that was Steve Harris. So he was kind of there on his own. That's it. Like, if you only have one driver, I don't know who was in the open classes and stuff like that. One driver there on his own. It's going to be hard. S-Works had Tim, and they had Camden, and they had Spencer. I can't say nothing about Spencer. He's just got in the car. He's been driving a C-Hub car all this time, HB, switching over to balls. I'm sure there's an adjustment that he has to go through there. You know what I mean? So give it some time. I wasn't expecting fire out of S-Works anyway at DNC. Just no boot. Like, had not had boots and all that stuff came over her. Yes, different. But they'll get it. S-Works will get that stuff. S-Works is coming together. Tim Lime's starting to do things, and that's good to see. He did give me a lot of shit over my video about Cavallari, and he still gives it to me even, all the time. So they will get that stuff together.
What did you say there?
I said that Cavallari will now win a Worlds, right? And I didn't mean it as a diss to S-Works or anything. I was just talking about the support that Cavallari will have. But but
he's not off to the greatest start.
He is not, unfortunately. So it looks like but you know what? I have faith. But my faith is kind of dwindling in one driver at this moment. But we'll talk about that a little later. Oh my God. All right, next question. Oh, well, he also asked. All right, so I would say, like, if you went to we weren't at this race, so I didn't see the pits and all that stuff, but I can imagine what happened. Tekno had their big pits. TLR had their big pits. Definitely Tekno. I would say Tekno, TLR, HB.
Associated.
Excuse me?
Team Associated.
Yeah, they probably had Team Associated had giant pits there as well. They were the big guys there this year. You know, always the big guys. So
how many JQ drivers there, do you know?
It was, let's see, it was Greg, Axel, Dylan was there. Well, people driving JQRs. Dylan, Chris, Shelby, Wally was driving a JQ car. I say it was about 7 JQ guys there. It wasn't many. The least amount of JQ guys in the last 3 years. Let's just say that. We weren't there. There was no tents. We couldn't go there. We tried to get Greg to go down and get a tent. He wouldn't do it. So this is working with Degani. So I'm not driving 4 hours to get a tent. Then the thing about it, he complained about, man, the sun was out on Saturday. I didn't even have a tent. I said, that's your fault. You could have went and got the JQ tent and set it up. Oh my gosh. All right, on to the next question. Actually, this one is about Degani. It's from Curtis Wong. What's up? Curtis is a badass car mechanic, dude. Drifting, all this type of stuff. He's up in BC. He's one of the best up there in BC with, like, in the model tune. I guess it's tuner world and all that stuff. And he drives a JQ car. He goes, after getting screwed at DNC, is Degani coming back on all cylinders firing? Well, I'll tell you what, man. Degani was at Tuesday Night Nationals this week, practice, like going to race, and I ain't never seen that out of Greg. So I'm hoping that him losing to Paul Ciccarello has fired him up, and I think, don't call it a comeback, say I never left. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, he drove like an idiot. Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh. We gotta,
like, the one race where he kept crashing in the same place, and then after the race, oh yeah, I guess you can't do that section like that.
I'm like, how did he not see those guys not doing it? He's pitted right there. He was serious though. He did not see that. I said, Greg, I thought. Well,
but you don't have to see anyone else. You can just determine based on your own driving that, listen, I can't do this section, so I'm going to change how I approach this. But no, it was too dumb to figure that out.
Oh my gosh. I didn't, no one sent me the memo not to jump the step up. When I talked to the next day, because I was dead serious though, Keenan. I was like, man, all right. Joey Montiel. I think that's how you say it. I met him at RCGP, him and his son. Awesome father-son team. Kudos. You know what? Yeah, kudos to little Frankie Contreras. That kid killed it at DNC and intermediate. By the way, Joseph, I was told that intermediate, the whole podium was under 16. That's good. Intermediate Nitro buggy, the whole podium was under 16. That's good to see.
Yeah, that's good.
So anyway, Joey asked, Proline put out a post about Frankie winning intermediate. Some guys are on there crying. You know, I have a 12-year-old as well, and us parents deal with crap. It's sad that people are trying to take away from this kid's success. I just want to know your thoughts, but I'm sure I know how you feel. You know what I say?
Take what away?
The people at Proline posted about him, winning. And I guess people are like, oh, see, he gets free tires or he gets extra help and all. I didn't see the comments, right? But I could imagine what people say. Because remember what they said about Max when he won? Oh, my God. They wanted to kill us. Look, people, this kid, if he gets a deal on tires and stuff like that, it's getting free tires didn't let this kid win DNC. This kid won DNC. His skills, his smartness, his racecraft, he won DNC. He won all 3. He swept DNC. Why are you hating on a 14-year-old kid? We should be encouraging this young man to race. Why are we hating on this? It happens every time after one of these races, man. So what if that kid he should get free tires. He just swept DNC. I mean, okay, yeah. He probably shouldn't get free tires, but you know what I mean? This kid went out there and killed it. We should be happy about this. This is a wonderful thing for our hobby, for our sport. A 14-year-old going out there and just demolishing everybody in Truggy, E-Buggy, and Nitro Buggy. And these couch quarterbacks and I'm a couch quarterback too. Don't get it wrong. These guys on Facebook want to take that away from me because he maybe gets a good deal on tires. You know what? Fuck that shit. Like, come on. Fuck off. Like, I'm just, it's so stupid, man. It happens every time after one of these races. Look, man, because you get something for free, okay, you might say, well, he has more tires and he could do this. Man, if you're at DNC and you ain't got new tires on your car and they ain't, that's your fault because, or whatever. You know what I mean? That's not because if you're going to DNC, you're spending money anyway because it's a long race. Come on, people. This is a young 14-year-old kid who just swept DNC. We just had a DNC Nitro buggy podium of all under 16 drivers. That is a damn good thing, and it gives me hope that maybe RC ain't gonna die sometime. And you know what? Shout out to Buddy Christensen because that kid's going through hell right now, and he finished third. I think third or second. Shout out to that kid. It's in fact, go make some donations to BeTheChange.org. You want to know about bone marrow transplants? Go listen to what Stephen Best went through and what he has to go through. And that kid's going through all that stuff. And if that kid for 30 minutes, he can go. I know I'm going on a rant right now, but if that kid, Buddy, can go out there for 30 minutes, for that 30 minutes of time, his sickness, his illness, all the pain, all that shit that he's been going through all these years, that's all gone. And that 30 minutes of time, that kid's out there, he's a Superman, he's a superstar in his mind. And that 30 minutes, that kid is Superman. And that's what RC can do for people. And that's why I'm passionate about RC. RC is for everybody. You see, like the Parrish brothers, they were in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And RC was something that they could do with their parents. RC can make anybody RC, you know what I mean? Just like, come on, like stop taking away from these. I'm not saying nobody said nothing about Buddy, but this is the future of our industry, man. Stop it. Stop. We shouldn't be encouraging these youth, not taking away from them, man. It just reminds me of when Max won and everyone's like, he's 100%. He's this kid this Max not been to America once, comes over to America, never raced on anything like DNC in his life, kills it in DNC, and everybody wants to take it away from him because fuck all that shit, man. All that sponsorship bullshit and sponsorship does not equate to talent level. Oh my, this turned into a rant session, didn't it? I just hate
Buddy
that.
Got third in Nitro, fourth in electric.
Yeah, and he did Truggy. Who was that? Buddy
Christian.
Yeah, but they're not talking about Buddy. They're talking about Frankie. And
yeah, but you were talking about.
Yeah, because
Buddy.
I'm happy to see things like that. Like, you know what I mean? This kid's going through hell, man. I didn't even recognize him at first when I saw him interview. I was like, whoa, because he's always skinny and like come on, people. Like, leave Frankie alone. That kid that kid was so cute. He did great interviews afterwards. He was wearing his mask too. Everything like. So, like, come on, leave that kid alone and let him enjoy his DNC sweep. It doesn't matter if that kid gets a better deal on tires than somebody or gets free tires. Free tires didn't allow that kid to sweep DNC. That kid's hard work, talent, and work and racecraft won him DNC. Simple as that. Fuck, man. It always happens, man. I get tired of that shit, man. Seriously.
Tired of that shit.
Yeah, man. Like, we need to encourage the youth, not beat them down, man. It's rare. Because if that was my son, I'll be pissed off. Like, you know what I mean? And I always talk to a lot of fathers, and they tell me the same thing about the attitude to their children at these races. They don't like it. So, come on. We got to make it RC for the youth because they're going to take it to the next level because all us old farts are going to be out of here soon. You ain't got much time. Once you hit 40, it's all downhill after that. Dan Thomas, trick question. Why is JQ such an asshat? I said, I think you was dropped when you was a baby. Maybe a little bit of umbilical cord strangulation too.
I think I just have a big chip on my shoulder. I have a big chip on my shoulder and I really hate any kind of injustice. Big or small. It really pisses me off.
Yeah, that's cool. You're entitled to your opinion. Yep. Okay. All right, Kyle, we talked about the drop-off. First, okay, Kyle Predamore, AE fanboy. First, I do understand how being a sponsor driver has changed, and the perception is everyone is sponsored, and it has the potential of killing hobby shops. I feel it is an evolution to what it once was, just like swinging from brick and mortar to online purchases. That's true because online purchases are hurting hobby shops more than anything. I know people don't understand why I get the support I do when I don't have the results on the track that I should. But there are other aspects to getting support in this day and age. I can talk about every single one of my sponsors and why I get the help I get. So if I had a question about it, do you feel that this negativity of everyone being sponsored will dissolve? Much love. You know what, AE fanboy? Kyle Pradmore, I would love to have guys like you on my team. I don't care if you come last. You represent your sponsors well, and I know because I watch this guy. This guy's awesome. He loves RC. He does a good job of doing that. I take guys over him than some guy who thinks he's special and better than everybody on the team and thinks he deserves better treatment than everybody else and doesn't want to be, there's no I in team. So as for the sponsorship thing, yes, it's definitely getting out of hand. Been out of hand. It's not getting out of hand. It's been out of hand. I definitely want to see sponsorship become prestigious again. But it's just going to be a difficult journey. That's all it comes down to. But I think if you work hard, you have to be a brand ambassador. Let's put it that way. You are a brand ambassador. There's people that get sponsored just for being fast, and then you have brand ambassadors that got sponsored for that. I like that term better. Let's start using that. All right, Joseph. Colin Branch. Colin Branch has a big week this week. We have the King of the Streets race coming up, $23,000 on the line. Colin has Tim Smith on his team. The McLaren ESC has been killing it out there, selling a lot of units. They've learned up the no prep drag world. So congratulations to you, Colin. He asked, best and worst moment of DNC 2021, Joseph.
Best and worst moment?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I would need to be there for the moment.
You know what? I say the worst moment is that we wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah. Worst moment was not being there or that guy getting hit in the head.
Yeah, that for me was the worst moment, honestly.
Best moment was
well, honestly,
I don't know.
The other worst moment for me was watching Fenn being so fast in the Pro A-Main and just fending himself over and over and over again. I just sat there like...
I called that.
He came back so many times, and then I knew when he flipped under the bridge the last time, that was it. He wasn't going to come back after that. Yeah, I would say, look, man, worst moment for me was that guy getting hit in his head. I really didn't like that. Also, I would say the unfair and biased BS that went on with like cutting tracks and people hitting each other and no stop and go penalties called. But we're going to talk about that later. Best moment for me, man. You know what, man? I'll tell you what the best moment for me is. And you guys are going to get, think I'm an idiot and all that type of stuff. The best moment for me was to see that the best moment for me is just that to see like this DNC kind of looked like what it would be at Arizona. The last 2 years of DNC, they've kind of been meh. You know what I mean? Paris is obviously a better location, but it's meh. You know what I mean? It just you can even say, Joseph, for the last 2 years, it just hasn't felt like a DNC. When we went.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the best moment, like, and it's a social thing because, like you said, Joseph, if you're into socializing and racing RC cars, DNC is the race for you. If you're into just racing RC cars, it's not. I think it's good to see the social aspect of that. I mean, that's a big thing that I enjoy about RC is going and see people, and I just think the vibe of DNC looked like it was a lot better than it has been.
Yeah,
for 2 years.
I think one thing that needs to happen at these Joey races, the big ones, is you need that stadium atmosphere. So you need the hay bales around the track and you need people around the track. And that wasn't really, well, it could have been possible that they didn't do it that way at Paris.
Yeah.
So even for Paris, it was actually even hard to find a good spot to watch,
Mm-hmm.
But at Thunder Alley, you get that sort of stadium atmosphere. And at the Arizona ones, it was the same way. So when the mains roll around, the track is lined with people and it's just a good atmosphere, for the mains.
Yes. Another positive I would like to say is it being at Thunder Alley. Sorry, I got a cramp in my leg. It being at Thunder Alley benefits Thunder Alley. You know what I mean? Andrew made good money. People were practicing. It keeps his track alive. You know what I mean? That's the good thing about it, too.
Yeah.
So I would take those positives. It's good. And you know what, man? It's a lot of positives. I'm stoked to see an all under 16 Nitro buggy podium. And the biggest positive for me, and people's gonna be like, you hate e-buggy. I don't hate e-buggy. Nitro is the glory on the West Coast because, whoa, the number of entries in each Nitro buggy class and truggy class overshadowed the e-buggy classes. And it's been a while since I've seen that. So that's good to see. That is absolutely good to see. Because I think Nitro is kind of under attack, man. I think it is. Slowly but surely. All right, let's see. All right. So Robert Sorhan, who is another Finnish guy, but lives in Canada. He says, please go over the sneak peeks of the new chassis. And he goes, let's get to the real reasons for JQ no longer making a car and turning to being an employee as a designer. I think a lot of people can't understand that, like why you did that. I think you explained it quite well in your live, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have never started my own company if I could have done this from the start.
Yeah.
So
I think, like, I think just like, yeah, like if you would have, what if this would have happened 10 years ago? It would have been Mayako. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be talking about JQ Racing. You know what I mean? It would have been
exactly.
Mayako. So,
yeah.
Excuse me. An employee, yes, you will be, but you are the designer. So, like, you are the main employee. Like, you know? So,
I'm an employee like Kanai is an employee for Kyosho.
Exactly. Trust me.
He isn't really an employee of Kyosho, you know, because there's a design company that Kanai owns or work for. I don't know how that works. And they are contracted by Kyosho to provide the design for the Kyosho buggies. And this is the same situation. I have my own company that I am the owner of. And Mayako has contracted my company to be the design company for their buggy. So it's not like I have a boss now that tells me, hey, design this part or do this or do that. No, we have a deal. We have a project. This is the project, 8-scale Nitro buggy. Get it done. This is what we need. And I do that, you know? And if they want to make another car, if they want to make a truggy, okay, I'll do that, you know?
Truggy. I want to eat truggy.
Yeah. So that's the idea. So my life doesn't really change other than I have less responsibility, less things that I need to worry about and do and think about. And I can focus more on the things that I actually enjoy, which is design, development, testing, racing. So.
Boom. Simple answer. And he was asking about the sneak peeks of the new chassis. Go over them. I guess he's seen some.
Well, for now, it's basically members only for a while. And more will be revealed, you know, in the coming weeks and months to the public.
Sweet. Thank you, Robert, for the question. All right. We'll on to some Instagram questions, and that's it. Mick Wenberg. Where's the promised RCGP video? Next month, I believe, right? I was told.
Yeah, March is what I've been told.
Sweet, man. I'm hoping and praying that RCGP Round 2 Hope happens in Portugal, but I'm hoping and praying. But it doesn't look good. I'm hoping and praying.
Well, it's in June, so now it's February. There's still plenty of time.
Okay.
All the restrictions and stuff could easily be lifted, you know, in April, 2 months from now, and then we'll be fine.
You may never know.
So it's still possible.
It is still possible because I know I want to go to Portugal, and I will be going to Portugal. Trust me, even if I have to mail myself to Portugal. All righty, G-Spec RC Tuning. What's up, Geoff? How you doing, man? Check my boy out. He's got some cool charge cables. Hit him up on Instagram, G-Spec Racing, or on Facebook. Cool dude. Does adjusting rear anti-squat affect the rear roll center, specifically adding more raises and taking some out lowers RC? Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Specifically adding more raises roll center and taking some out lowers roll center. Thanks.
I think this person already asked me elsewhere, but yes, it does slightly. So it changes the height of the arm, because you can imagine you sort of simplify the roll center to the midpoint of the hinge pin, looking from above, for example. Mm-hmm. C plate in the front, D plate in the rear. You take the midpoint of that. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you draw a 2D drawing looking from the rear of the car, but using the midpoint of the hinge pins. And if you add anti-squat, if you raise the C plate up, so if you have 0 mm-hmm. anti-squat and you imagine the knuckle is the midpoint of the hinge pin and the hand is my hinge pin, if you raise the C plate, you're raising that midpoint mm-hmm. half of what you raised the C plate. So you're raising the rear arm. So you raise the roll center also slightly. So you can eliminate that by raising the C plate and lowering the D plate. So pivoting around the middle of the hinge pin if you don't want to affect the roll center at all, and only adjust the anti-squat. So it's something to consider when you change anti-squat, to either keep the arm height the same or to raise it or to lower it. Raising and lowering the arm typically isn't done for the roll center. It's done for the way the forces that travel through the arm affect the way the car drives. Mm-hmm. So you don't raise or lower the arm for the roll center change. You raise or lower the arm for how much the forces affect roll. So a higher arm will make the car drive stiffer, so it doesn't roll that much. A lower arm will allow the car to roll more and the suspension to feel softer. So you do it because of that, really.
Interesting. Thank you, Gio, for this. I'm sure he messaged you and asked you this because he's running the JQ car. Cool dude, likes to go to Revelation. And yeah. Thank you for the question, G. Check him out, G-Spec RC Tuning on Instagram. Get yourself some awesome customized cables. RC Kevin. What's up, RC Kevin? I know what this is all about. Why do you think the big names had so many issues? Crack in program, rusty. He's talking about Thai because RC Kevin's from Canada, so he wants to talk about Thai.
I was honestly quite surprised.
I didn't think he was going to be that bad. I thought
no, not that bad. I mean, even if he hasn't been running Nitro now, if he hasn't been able to, I don't know if he has or hasn't. Still, that is way off what I would expect.
I thought lower A main possibly, but not making the A, not qualifying even directly into the A. When has the last time that happened? Oh, the excuses were flying. New car, new engine, new tires.
What's new on the car? Seriously.
Apparently, it's supposed to be a new car or something.
Yeah, I checked. You know what? Actually, that reminds me of something funny. I saw that new X-Ray 2021 release information, which I have to say, X-Ray has the best sort of release material. It just looks the best. That truly is luxury about X-Ray. So all that, presenting the new product, the release material, it's great. Content, maybe not always, but how it looks.
Right.
But two things I saw there. So one was they use these button head screws. Mm-hmm. And I remember I used to run X-Ray 2008 before I had my own car.
Really?
So yeah, 2008. I would strip the button head screws. So I would replace them with the socket head 2.5s. So that's one thing they changed now. So 2008 to 2021. What is that? 13 years?
Yeah.
13 years it took. And then another thing was the steering posts weren't keyed into the chassis. So if you Loctited them, what would happen was you open the post screw and it would snap open, but it would snap so that it starts spinning. So you're turning the screw and the post is turning, but it's still Loctited to the post.
Yeah, so you can't
then
get
you have to hold the post with pliers to try and pry. Oh, it was hell.
A lot of pain in the ass.
So now it's so long ago, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure I did say these things or mention these things at the time. But I just thought it was so funny that these two things, which I'm sure other people have had the same issue as me. I raced it for 1 year or 2 years, the car. So these two things, which are like so basic, 13 years later, they fixed them. That was funny to me.
Yeah. Everybody's coming up with these, like, every excuse. Like, I'm heard, he didn't have any top teammates there. No Mark Souza, no this, no that, no that. I'm like, man, you know what? I think, I know Ty's been in California for about a month and a bit now, or just over a month.
He has?
Yeah, he's been
Well,
there.
then there's really no excuse.
But here's the thing, Joseph. They should have been, they didn't do JBRL the week before DNC. They didn't do that. You know where they were? They're at Chi-Town doing 10 scale races. Why are you going, like, you got the biggest race of the year coming up. You should be at Thunder Alley at the JBRL, don't you think?
Yeah.
Why are you driving 1,500 miles to Chicago to do some 10 scale race that you know you're going to win? What's the sense of doing that? You need to be out there practicing Nitro. Who made that decision? What was that all about? Like, I don't know. This is the truth. Weird. This is the true test to Ty, Tessman, and Gord. This is their test. Everybody,
especially since they also switched engines,
right?
So
Gord is the master, and Tessman's get flown over to help Barufalo win. I'm not Barufalo. Help Coelho win, and all this. We had their engine program going 10 minutes OS and having the best tire. Well, it can't be tires because Cole was fast. About race tires. So here's your test, Tessmans. Can you do it without the quote unquote best in the world? Come on, like, let's just say everybody says the OS is the best engine. We can't argue with that. And you was on Proline for all these years, multiple compounds, all this type of stuff. You did well in Truggy. Your engine didn't act up in Truggy. I don't get it, man. Something's off, man. Something's off. And I think there's more to it. Here's what I think. There is going to come a point sooner than later where Ty's going to have to make a decision. Do I go on my own or do I quit RC? And people might be like, what, are you crazy? At some point, a company's going to say, we don't want Gord. We want you. What's going to happen then?
Yeah, exactly. Because right now they have to pay both of them, right? The deal is that you have to pay Gord to be a team manager, and then you have to pay Ty to be a driver.
Right. And I think that let's be honest. Like, X-Ray hasn't boomed. Like, no offense to Gord, but it's Gord's way or it's the highway. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that. It's Gord's way or the highway. X-Ray hasn't boomed under Gord. It never has really boomed, but it hasn't boomed. It's doing okay. Not up to HB levels when they were on there, but we're talking about two different things. There's going to come a point where having Gord and Ty is just not going to be cost effective for a company. And then what's going to happen there? I would, no offense to Gord and all this, because I want to see what Ty can do without Gord. Like, you know what I mean? I want to see what he can do. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see. And maybe he'll, I don't know, man. I always, like, when you see him, he looks like he's like so, like, tense. Like, he looks old. I looked at Ty, he looks old. I mean, maybe he's not been in the sun. He looks old. He doesn't look 27, man. RC has not been good. Like, it's a hard life.
I don't know. I couldn't imagine living my life with my parents at the RC track. I mean, that's just me,
but I get it. Like, his father's a part of his program. You know what I mean? That's understandable and that's great. But I mean, Ty's not 16 anymore. He's 27 years old. It's a man. It's a grown man. At some point he's gonna have to do this on his own. Don't you think? I think so. So it's gonna be interesting.
Maybe it was just because his mom wasn't there.
No, man. He was just, come on, stop being stupid. He was just off in qualifying. He didn't break anything. They said the clunk got stuck in the flame out. That's what happened. But
right.
It's not. I have nothing against Ty. I want to see him do better. But I think it's just struggled ever since he switched chassis. I think it's just been a struggle. Yes, he's done well. But it just isn't the Ty Tessman dominating HB form that he had. We can both admit that. All right, Josie, that is the end of our questions. We have to go on to your favorite part of the podcast, the Sun City RC Thought of the Week.
Sun City RC Raceway, the home of El Paso's world-famous motocross-inspired 8-scale off-road track. The Showers family has over 20 years' experience creating one of the premier tracks in the USA. Their world-class facility has everything: handicap accessibility, advanced skate starts, space for parking RVs, trailers, and lights for night racing. Follow SCRC on Facebook under Sun City RC Raceway for updates, upcoming races, or host your own race.
Woo! Thank you, Sun City RC Raceway, for the support of the Sun City SCRC Thought of the Day. Go check out Joey Showers. Tell him JQ sent you, and he'll get you a discount on an entry, or maybe he'll kick you out. Who knows? But thank you to Shower, Joey, Christian, Corbin, everybody. Christian went to DNC. They got a big race coming up here in March. TNR Fuel race is going there. So kudos to those guys. Really great family, really great facility. And you know what, Joey, JQ really does like you. I think you and Joey really are good friends, Joseph.
I don't think you should lie to people.
Hey, you and Joey Showers are the best of friends. Let's be honest. You guys like to drink Michelob Ultra together, and you both like to use your middle fingers. You know what I mean? But awesome family. Thank you for the support, SCRC. If you guys are in the El Paso area, go check them out. Awesome facility, great track. And see if you can beat Corbin with his control. I bet you can. I bet you can't even do a lap with his control. So this was a question that has been asked and asked and asked since last year. And I got a personal message, and I said, Keenan, I want you to ask this in the podcast. So I'm going to ask it. Drake started running 40 plus at DNC 2020. Right? He ran 40 plus. He, that's pissed off a lot of the 40 plus guys, which I get it. So the thought of the week is, and let's put it this way. I just want this to be known. This is not a jab at Drake. This can be any driver that's 40 plus. Let's put it this way. It just happens that Drake is 40 plus, and he's still competitive in the pro A main of RC. Should Adam Drake be allowed to run 40 plus? I don't think that's the question we should be asking. Should Adam Drake be allowed to run two classes with one chassis? So people are going to be a little bit shocked at how I'm going to put this, but this is how it goes. I actually think Drake is allowed to run 40 plus. Just like anybody that's over 40, he is allowed to run 40 plus. Yes, it's no big, like him going out there and beating everybody by 2 laps. That's no accomplishment. Like, I get it. That's, his racing against like Greg and Saxton and those guys. They're not on Drake's level. You know what I mean? Drake's way faster than those guys at 40. That's not their fault, but Drake is still racing and all that stuff. He can race that. The issue for me isn't really that, to be honest. The issue for me is that he gets 30 minutes extra track time before he goes to his pro A main in Nitro buggy. And if you don't think this has helped him out, you just have to look at the last 2 DNCs. He's had the last 2 DNCs, he's had his best results in Nitro buggy, a 7th and a 5th. This is not unfair to the 40 plus guys. This is unfair to the guys running the pro A main. And unfortunately, like, if I was a pro driver, I'd probably protest this. I don't think you'd win it, but I protest it. And let's get this straight. This is not about Drake. So what happens because I believe Ryan Mayfield can probably still win a nationals and be competitive at the age of 40, right? So what happens when Ryan Mayfield goes 40? Or you, Joseph, you go 40, right? When you go 40, and I'm not saying you're going to make pro mains. I'm not going to blow your head up like that. But let's just say Ryan Mayfield, I still think, will be making top 5s in pro Nitro buggy when he's 40, right? What happens when he goes 40 and he gets an extra time? it's not fair to the rest of the drivers. It's similar. Like people like, well, what are you talking about, Lefty? Well, it's similar, right, Joseph? At the Euros, if you're a youth driver and you make the semifinals, you're not allowed to run the junior final. Correct?
Yeah.
So we have to, and people would say, well, that rule has to be applied to everybody. What about intermediate? Like Don Winkelmelder, he runs 40 plus and he runs intermediate. What about Degani? He runs 40 plus and he runs pro buggy, stuff like that. I think we have to kind of differentiate things here. Like in the pro class, we're talking about probably contingency money and stuff like that. Is it fair to the pro guys that Drake gets that extra 30 minutes of practice? And it's not about Drake. It could be anybody that's 40 plus that's in that pro main or in that intermediate main. I don't know. You know, is it fair? That's who it's unfair to, really. So I feel that if you make the pro main, if you're making the pro main, you shouldn't be allowed to run the 40 plus. Or you have to make a choice. Do you want to win 40 plus or do you want to run pro main?
Okay, so I like this topic. I agree with the question and the sort of reason for questioning this and how it benefits the guy running two classes, but I disagree with your conclusion.
Okay.
In my opinion, this is the same thing as someone in sportsman running intermediate also, which I think they don't allow. Right? They don't allow that, right?
No. But you could
you're only allowed to run one class per chassis, except 40 plus.
Yeah.
Isn't that how the rule is?
I believe so.
Yeah. So this is the problem. These race organizers only care about the money, and the 40 plus guys want the 40 plus class so that they can compete for the win, and you know, instead of having to race with all of these kids. And they've just sort of got away with adding it as an add-on class and allowing people to run both. But it's not fair. And this goes back to the thing that I don't like injustice and when stuff is unfair. This is completely fucking unfair. And it will take Mayfield turning 40 and winning the DNC and the current sort of whoever is the young, fast guy at the time losing to him, and that team protesting and people getting mad, or me turning 40 and then they just want to screw me over.
Yeah, well.
You know, it will take something like that. But that doesn't change the fact that this has always been unfair and is still unfair. Yeah. And I think it's just as unfair for the pro class guys as it is for intermediate. If you're 35 years old and you do this as a hobby and you're competitive, and there's this guy who also is intermediate and 40 years old, and he gets an extra main and extra qualifiers every time before the qualifiers, and he beats you, that has got to be frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? That has got to be annoying. Yes, this race, 16-year-olds were on the podium and this and that. That's irrelevant. It doesn't change the principle, the point. It doesn't change that. When you're 40 years old, there's no reason other than your life priorities for you being slower. There's no physical reason why you can't be as good as when you were 20. It's just that when you're 40, your life priorities change. If they don't change, if you still keep practicing and putting in the effort, you can still be fast. And I think we'll see that when Mayfield does turn 40. I really do. Drake is the best example right now. And I think we will have an even better example in 5 years when Mayfield's 40.
Yep.
You know? So that's maybe when this will change. I hope it will change already now. I don't think there's anything wrong with just making it fair across the board and saying we have sportsman, intermediate, whatever. We have 40 plus, we have pro. Pick one and race it. So that would mean Adams Racing Pro, not 40 plus. Well, maybe Don Winkelmelder and Degani and Ciccarello, they race 40 plus and have an awesome race there, but they don't race pro or intermediate or anything else.
Yeah.
And then the up-and-coming kids are racing intermediate, and the beginners are racing sportsman. Even though I think that's already too many classes,
right?
At least that's a clear structure where everyone's running their own thing, everyone gets the same track time, and it's fair.
I agree.
Right now, if you are 40, then you like this, because for most people, the race sucks. You get 2 qualifiers or 3 qualifiers in the main. They get 6 qualifiers and 2 mains. You know? So, and typically also they get one class which they don't care about. So Drake doesn't care about 40 plus. He tests stuff. He gets prepared. He focuses on pro. Degani, Ciccarello, these guys, they don't care about pro.
No,
they care about 40 plus, you know? So these guys, they pick one class which they like, and then the other one is just, I get extra track time. And that's not how it's supposed to be.
No, I agree.
It's not fair for the other guys who have to compete against these guys. And saying that, oh, well, they are 40, that's no excuse, you know?
It's like
it's not like it's a disadvantage to be 40 and you need the extra track time, you know? It doesn't work that way.
No, I kind of put it like a funny thing like this. It's like, what if we made a class for fat guys? You have to be 300 pounds and over to race in this class. No skinny guy. If you're under 300 pounds, you can't be there. Because, you know, a lot of fat guys in RC. I'm a fat boy. I'm over 300 pounds. And then we have to race together in another main in an hour where we're, you know, I've had that extra 30 minutes and you haven't. Is that fair? Because you got a higher metabolism, or you exercise and you do good. You know, you do good. You watch what you eat, and you're not obese like me, and you're over 300 pounds. You know what I mean? Is that fair? Or is it, you know, I mean, just to put it at a different thing, it's not about age. I agree with you, man. And it took this race to kind of realize that for me, because I kept saying, I thought it was more about the 40 plus thing. But then, you know, me and my good buddy, my buddy from North Carolina, Mike Hill, we was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, it's not fair. And, you know, then we talked about it. And like I said, I'm not digging at, this isn't a dig at Drake. This isn't a dig at any of these guys that's doing this here. It's allowed. So, I mean, of course they're going to do it. Like, you know, right now it's allowed. So they can do it. But what it's going to take is like one of these teams to protest it. And it ain't going to change, not going to change, because we know that protests at these races don't change anything. About that DNC races. Are you there, or did you just go away?
My camera died.
That is nothing unusual. We're almost done here anyway. So I just want people to get that. This isn't a dig at Drake and what he's doing. This is more to show that it isn't unfair to the 40 plus guys. It's unfair to the people in the pro main or whatever main they're running. Like, you know, so that's our RC thought of the day, I believe, of the week. Anything to add to that, Joseph, before we go on?
Well, just that I think this is a really sort of simple issue. Really. It's not complicated. Yes. You can only run one class per chassis, and you pick the class you want to race.
But we know the race promoters ain't going to do that because they lose.
They lose some entries. But this is the thing. Like, are you doing this to line your pockets, or are you doing this to make a good living still, but make the fucking event really good for the people racing?
Yeah,
I think over the last years, we've seen that these races are being made for the organizer, not for the racer. And that needs to change.
Yep.
Because we can't keep going on like this forever, because people will find better things to do.
Yeah. I mean, what if you're a young kid, like even at the Nationals, I believe, I think, I can't remember, CJ made the main the last time and he got to run the junior final. I think if you make the main at the Nationals or semis at the Nationals, you shouldn't be running the junior final. That's for the kids out there that, you can run the junior final. No, just make it a rule where you can't run the junior final. You wouldn't be picked anyway. But that's
the junior final thing is like 40 plus. It's not this. It's not unfair to the juniors. It's unfair to the
same thing.
People in the semifinals because the one guy gets extra practice.
Exactly.
That's the unfair part. And making this rule would make all the classes better. You wouldn't have some guys getting extra practice in pro or intermediate or sportsman, and you wouldn't have some fast guy who doesn't give a shit about 40 plus winning all the 40 plus races.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the guys who actually care about 40 plus and actually are excited to go to the race and try and win and beat their rival that they've known for the last 30 years or 30 years, they get the glory and the satisfaction and the enjoyment that they are looking for, because there's not someone who's still a pro, winning the races and everyone's racing for second. They get that. And the pro guys don't have to worry about someone getting extra time, because it's not just Drake that benefits. That's another thing.
Right.
Drake is working closely with Mayfield and with other Mugen drivers too. So if he can go out and run one time before every qualifier and before the main, he can test stuff that the other guys want to try. Now he's on J Concept, so they can try stuff, Well, this race, they know what to run. But I'm just saying, like, these are just opportunities to try things and get more information.
Yes.
And it's not just personally him that gets more prepared. It's all of Mugen and whatever else he runs. They also have the benefit of having a top guy going out there and being able to test stuff for the team.
That goes for everybody too. It doesn't just go for Mugen. It goes for TLR with Winkelmotor. It goes for us with Degani when he goes out there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's different, because he's not on that level.
Right, but I get that. But it's still, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. So I want people to be clear, because then they'll be like, oh, Lefty and JQ are against Drake and doing this and doing that. I am not against. This is not a bone to pick with Drake. This is a bone to pick with the rule that is good, that allows this. So I just want people to be clear, because you know how people like to run with one side of the story and get get the bull by the horns. My mom would say, So yeah, that's how I feel about it. These 40 plus guys, they're not on Drake's level. Like, it was funny. Like, people like, oh my gosh, Drake is just blowing these guys away. And people in the comments, I'm like, he's racing guys that were fast 25 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like Jesus, man, come on. Like, he's like, there's nobody else. Like, until you get there, then you'll be there. Then you get to race Drake in 40 plus. Then he'll beat you there anyway.
Yeah, but that's when this rule will change.
Of course it will.
They'll have this rule until I turn 40, and then the first year I can do DNC 40 plus, then they won't have it. Or then they'll do what I said, right?
Yeah, of course.
Make it so you have to pick one.
I know. It's so crazy. All right. Well, Joseph,
Just
you know
like
what,
Legends class.
You know what, Joseph? It's been
shit.
a great beach RC and SCRC talk. You know what time it is? It's time. You have anything to add before we go? Because we're gonna have a chat with a DNC chat, like a full breakdown here, I think, in the next interview. Maybe we have a special guest coming on too. We ain't sure yet, but maybe we have a special guest. All right, Joseph. You know what? Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Think about the SCRC thing. Two things I want you to take out of this thing. These questions is the safety part, about being safe, and think about the 40 plus thing, and that's open your eyes, open your ears, and think about, and your mind, and think about what we're saying. We're not, I repeat, we are not digging at Drake. This applies to everybody, not just Drake. All right, time for the Tekno RC main interview.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Tekno RC. Excellence in engineering. #Tekno Takeover.
DNC is over. We need to talk about it. If you guys didn't see our recaps of qualifying and the Pro Buggy and Truggy mains, they will be up on audio here later, but they are on YouTube with Max and Beaker here. So joining us this week to talk about DNC. And I was actually very shocked. He actually asked to come on the podcast, and I've been asking him for many months. And everybody has been, actually a year now, and everybody has been asking for more of him since his podcast, which is the second most popular podcast so far. I would like to introduce the first ever American 8-scale Nitro Buggy World Champion, Greg the Toe Degani. What's up, Greg? How are you?
Good. Just waking up here.
Yeah, because we can't call you a former champion because you are still a world champion. You don't lose your world championship status when when somebody else wins a world championship. You are still a world champion. That was like a point that some guy was making in the chat with during while you was racing. So, Greg, we got your buddy Beaker here, aka JQ. You can't see him because we're doing this through
Beaker. Why is he called Beaker?
You remember Beaker from Bunsen and Beaker on the Muppets?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's his nickname. It's been like that for a while. So, Greg, you went to DNC. This is how many DNCs have you been to now? All of them?
No, I'm not Jay Smoker with a 22-year award that he got.
Yes, that was cool.
I've been to all but a few years. Me and Pavitas went to the Motorama in Pennsylvania because it was cheaper for me to go to Pennsylvania than it was to drive to Arizona.
Really?
Believe it or not.
Wow, incredible.
The hotels in Arizona were just so ridiculously expensive.
Okay. Well, this is the first time that it's been at, hold on, my camera's out of focus here. Joseph, talk to Greg while I fix my camera.
Just touch the screen over your face.
There we go. All right. Well, it's a bit far away, so, and I got short hands. So, Greg, give us, Joseph, say hello to Greg, will you please?
Hello, Greg.
Do you know, hold on.
Do you miss me?
I miss you like a hole in the head.
In reality, he misses me. He almost didn't do DNC.
Yeah. Tell me about the breakdown that he was having in the month leading up to DNC about diffs. Oh, my gosh. How many phone calls did I get about diffs? But I'm glad you got it worked out, Greg. You went. You had fun. It was so much fun that you even went to Tuesday Night Nationals this week. So we need Paul Ciccarello to beat you more often to keep you pumped. All right, Greg. So we want to kind of get your opinion on the track itself. First time at Thunder Alley. What were your thoughts on the actual layout and all that stuff?
Actually, when I first saw the layout, I just thought it was going to be like the typical Joey, slow layout. It was going to get ruddy. Just because of the past experience I've had at Thunder Alley, like Aurora Nationals was there like in 08 or whatever. It just turned into just blown out.
Greg, slow down. You got to keep talking into the mic. I know you're moving like this.
I am talking into the freaking mic.
But keep still. Can we keep still?
Yeah. But anyways, the layout turned out to be really good. I was driving on it was better than I expected. It flowed well, and it's to be honest, it stayed together really good. I mean, yeah, it got rough, but it wasn't. I mean, it was probably the least rough DNC in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite feature? What was your favorite part of the track? Obviously not the step up.
Like normal, the straightaway.
Well, you had a front straightaway this time. So it
was all right. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, before we go on any further, you in your infamous interviews, did you really not know you was not supposed to jump that step up?
Yes. I did not know.
But you was right.
I didn't pay attention that day. I'm in the pits for like 15 hours working on a stupid e-buggy, mounting a body. And I'm looking over. I could see cars coming over that step up. But I didn't realize that they weren't jumping. I could see them kind of floating over. And for some reason, I just didn't put two and two together that you were supposed to jump the jump.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. So let's talk. What was some of your impressions of this race being at Thunder Alley, being at a permanent track? First time it's been at a permanent track since Hemet, I want to say. Or was it? No, in Arizona, right? They had it at a permanent track as well?
No, since Hemet.
No. Where did they have it in before Fur Farm, Joseph?
I can't remember the name of that.
But it was
Nitro Pit.
Yeah, but it was
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I went to that run. That was out in, Goodyear, Arizona.
Yeah, but this is good. We Joseph and I both agree that it was good to have it at Thunder Alley because it benefits. It was like you always say we need more practice and all this type of stuff. I know you didn't go. Did you do JBRL? No.
Did I do JBRL?
Before DNC, you didn't do it, did you? Or did you? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the JBRL final was there 2 weeks before the DNC.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was the one good thing about this race is that you always used to say back in the day, we used to be able to go race at the track right up until it was the race time. So you kind of got to do that this time. Being in Thunder Alley allowed for that. Was that a good thing, you think?
Right. Yeah. Well, before I used to be able to race every weekend up to the DNC.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
But yeah, so at least there was a few races definitely leading up to it. You know, yeah, being at Thunder Alley, so that was good.
Okay. So what about your overall impression? Who impressed you right off the bat here? Was you watching any of the pro guys going? Anything that you noticed that somebody that was doing something or somebody's car that impressed you?
Somebody's car that impressed me?
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Or driving?
No, nobody. I mean, you know, they only did what I think it was 5 minutes in Truggy, and then they boosted it to 6 minutes for Buggy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's hard to really see. I mean, everyone's so close. It's hard to really say, oh, someone's car stood out better than the other. You couldn't really tell.
Okay.
Just by looking.
And I noticed you guys didn't even set up no tents over there. I watch you sitting in the sun, you smoker, axe on everybody right there in the pits. And I'm like, why don't Greg put up a tent? Why you didn't take a tent?
Because we don't have any tents. They're locked up in JQ's van in 29 Palms.
JQ, he just gave everybody the location of your van. I hope it's still there and we need it again. Joseph, say something. You're being too quiet. Unplug. Mute yourself. Let's talk. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. He's muted.
Chit chat.
Okay.
Get to some.
All right. Well,
juicy
ask Greg
stuff.
some questions. Let's go.
So what about the 2021 DNC? Was it somehow different or better than years before, or same old? Track time, sitting around, value for money, rules, fairness, watering.
You know, what was good about it was that it seemed more organized just because being at that permanent facility. So for Joey to get it running up and going with wiring and stuff, which normally seems like they're running around crazy. I think it was just everything was done a lot earlier. So I think they had a lot less work. So it seemed like it was better.
Yes.
That way.
Like the track was ready. You know, usually we would pull up and it would be like, we'll still be waiting for him to finish it up on Tuesday night or something like that.
Exactly. So it seemed like for Joey, it was easier for him as far as organizing. You know, normally like when it's out in Arizona or out, when we had it in Paris, you know, he's kind of like organizing the parking lot situation and pits and things like that. And it seemed like it was more well organized.
Yeah, I could see that. They even said like we was done like 2 days before, and that's good. So that makes things much more relaxed. How about the atmosphere? The atmosphere looked very nice. Very, very like socializing and stuff like that. Like it looked different from previous years at Paris, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I really didn't socialize with anybody too much because I was being in the privateer pits. Everybody was set up, you know, with their own tents and everything and up in that area. So I wasn't really up in that area too much, you know, so it seemed to me like I didn't really see too many people because everyone was kind of spread out. You know, the Mugen guys were out in the campground and you had all the other teams up in the team pit area like we had at RCGP.
Yes.
So there wasn't actually too many people pitted in the privateer pits. You know, most of the tables at the track were vacant, and it seemed like they were making a big deal about it. Like, oh, this is, you know, because the track owner guy, I forget his name, but I had said to him 2 weeks previous, I'm like, when can we save these tables? And he's like, oh, it's first come, first serve Tuesday morning. Like there was going to be a rush of people coming in. So I ended up going there Monday night, camping out a night early just to save pits for Keith Henry and Smoker. And, you know, other JQ guys, who they ended up having pits somewhere else. But, there wasn't actually too many people pitting near the track. I would say those pits were
pretty
at
empty.
like 25% occupancy rate there.
Yeah, you had a whole table to yourself, I believe, right behind the trophy presentation or whatnot.
Yeah,
okay.
We're getting sunburn out there. It wasn't too bad. We only had sun for a few hours, and then as soon as the sun would go in shadow, it was pretty cold if you went in the sun.
Okay. Did you, well, we like to talk about the Pro Nitro main. Did you watch that at all?
The Pro Nitro main? Yeah, I was on the 10 freeway driving home. I was listening to it.
Okay, so we can't really talk about it because you haven't seen it then.
Well, I listened to it.
Okay.
And kind of looked at it.
Do you have any opinion on why Mayfield is so good now? Just dominating everything. Not just this race either.
Well, I think, it's funny you say that. The reason is obviously he has the experience for these longer races, right? Mm-hmm. And, you got Dakota, who's always good for 5 minutes and then just always blows out in every single main I think I've ever watched him. Something always breaks or something happens. And I think Mayfield isn't sometimes the fastest car out there, right? Mm-hmm. Like you look at Dakota and these guys reeling him in for a little bit, but he knows that they can't keep that pace all the time. He knows if he just does a certain pace, that's the maximum speed to like not crash. Mm-hmm. So I think he just paces himself well, and he's driving super fast on top of that. But he's not overdoing it. I think he could probably push it even harder, but he doesn't. He doesn't need to.
Well, his racecraft has developed immensely because remember, back in the day, he was known to just be good, going 110% all the time.
That's true.
And he was similar to Fenn. Like, remember the 2014 Worlds, he was leading, and then he blew a servo. Like, he was so far ahead of everybody, then he blew a servo. And, he kind of had this reputation where that's kind of like why Cavallari had so many, and Tebow had so many more world championships and Reedy wins and all that stuff. Like, Mayfield had a reputation, he could win races, but he also had a problem finishing. Would you say that's true as well, Joseph?
Yeah, or maybe he would finish, but he would make mistakes, so they would beat him.
What I saw was just a perfect example of racecraft. Getting older, he's 34 now, 35, going 34, 35. He's learned that.
I don't think is he?
I think he's 34, 35. I believe Tebow went 34. Yeah, they're all the same age. I think Tebow is 1 year older, maybe. I don't know. Like, people don't understand. He even said afterwards, my car sucked. It was so hard to drive. But, he was able to do that. Greg, this reminds me of the time when we was at Silver State last year, and you was either going to be in the B main or the C main or 40 plus if you didn't have that good qualifier. And you had a lean bogging engine. Your car was crap. And I just watched you, like, basically got that one out and finish, got a top 3 finish and get yourself into the A main. I think that's what Mayfield has learned and is good at now. And also, when he makes a mistake, he knows how to make up for that.
You're talking about me? My engine was lean bogging, or Joseph?
Yours, when we was at Silver State. Remember in that in your last qualifier at Silver State, your engine was kind of.
That's right. That's right.
But you just gutted it out and you got to win. Like, you didn't got to win, but you got a top 3. And I think that's what people don't understand. That's racecraft right there. And that's something that can't be taught. That has to be, it can be taught, but you have to learn it and experience it. And I think that's honestly, I think that's what Dakota is missing when it comes to Nitro racing.
Yeah, I mean, he'll figure it out. I think, it's partly it doesn't seem, I don't know how many races he does. It just seems like he doesn't have enough experience in longer races for some reason. But I guess he goes to a lot of the races. It just, I think with an electric background and not so much gas background so much, right? I mean, mainly he learned, he was an electric guy first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. I mean, yeah, he's just have to learn to pace himself. The thing is, I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to pace himself at Mayfield pace. He's going to have to go at his own pace.
Right. Well, he was faster than Mayfield.
You may not win right away. You may not win that way, but you're going to, you'll build up to a better result later, I think.
Okay. He was actually faster than Mayfield, but the problem is he would get to Mayfield and just make mistakes. And then the final mistake that I saw was when he got flipped under the bridge, and I knew that was that was the last one. It took too long, and he just blow out trying to catch him up.
All right.
What's your thoughts on Tessman not making the A main in Nitro Buggy?
Well, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, I mean, obviously, if he wouldn't have broke or whatever, he had a problem in the B, he would have probably bumped up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing.
He wasn't in a bump spot, I think, when he broke. So, but it would have been close. He could have bumped, but it wasn't guaranteed.
I guess Gord was trying to start his car in the starter box backwards for like a minute. He didn't even realize that his car was on the starter box backwards. He was trying to restart it.
Wow.
And then he finally figured out it was on the starter box the wrong way, and that cost him a ton of time. But I mean, again, you've got these the three. It all starts like with practice qualifying, right? You have 3 laps. And that's really difficult, actually, to do. To string, you would think 3 laps is hard to string together. It actually is pretty hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you get set in the wrong seating, and mentally you're all screwed up. I don't think they should have that 3-second or 3-lap practice seat thing. I think if you're going to seed, why don't you just seed by the whole race, right?
What's your thoughts on that, Joseph?
Joseph is gone.
Oh, he's here. Damn it.
Proceeding.
Okay, go ahead, Joseph. You didn't hear anything you just said.
Well, why did you mute me then?
You unmuted yourself. Stop muting yourself.
No, you muted me just now. So I said the whole race is better.
Yeah, it's definitely the 3. So that would put maybe that would have put him into the A heat or whatnot, and going to Chicago 2 weeks before, during the JBRL race that was there that would have maybe helped them get some more practice.
I agree. Why go to Chicago when you should have been at JBRL practicing?
Yeah, that was kind of silly. But the thing is, he was living at Adam's house right down the street, so I'm sure he was out here at Thunder Valley practicing a ton anyways.
What about Cav, man? Kind of off pace. How's he looking? Did you get with the TLR and Proline tires? First big race on this package, 8 scale wise. What's your thoughts on Cav?
Well, I mean, I only really watched him 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks previous at the JBRL.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that main, his car didn't really look that great in the race,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my time was the same as him in 15 minutes. So, in my 40 and over versus his pro race. So I don't know. I mean, I think he made adjustments and he got better, obviously.
Yes. Well, they went out there the next day after JBRL. I mean, they were out there on Monday after JBRL testing and getting things ready. Do you think he's going to figure it out? Because
what's interesting is that Fenn seems to be the only one at Losi that's got, his car figured out. So I don't know if he's just driving that much better, or is it something else?
Maybe the car is more catered to the way Fenn drives, because he is like their golden child. So all focus is on him. I would say Cavalier is like second fiddle right now at TLR. Obviously he is. I mean, going in.
Yeah, I don't really think that's the case. I think, it's got to be something, either. I mean, Fenn's a lot younger, obviously, so
True.
He's going to drive better. he's that's going to be the biggest difference, I would say.
No, but Cav beat all these guys here at the last race of the year at AMS, man, I believe. And what was it, Mayfield? Oh, one of these races. I can't remember. So he's beat these guys. Mind you, it was driving the S-Works, not the TLR. He needs time to figure this car out too, I would say.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It takes time. You can't just jump in and just expect to be good.
Okay. How about Tebow, man? Tebow is like the veteran there. He's still kicking, made the mains. Didn't do as good as I thought he would do. I kind of had him up in my top 3. I don't think he made my top 3. So what's your thoughts on Tebow?
I mean, it seemed like he was good the first 5 minutes of like the truggy main and the buggy main. Mm-hmm. And then he had the worst Marshall in the history of mankind in the truggy race. I mean, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Tell us about it.
It wasn't on video, apparently. So, yeah, he crashed. He was in the lead, and he crashed at the top of the staircase. And then the Marshal, who wasn't even a Marshal, was just some kid that was spectating the race, ran to get his car. And then the kid lost his balance and was falling on his back. And so instead of, like, dropping Tebow's truggy, he took the truggy with him and, like, flinged it behind his head, and it landed in the other lane. He landed in the landing area of the step-up jump.
Wow.
So it was ridiculous. And then, so he ended up like jumping the backside of the step up and jumping up onto the back straightaway from there.
right
to get back on the track. And yeah, it was probably the worst Marshall I've ever seen in my life.
Incredible.
That was pretty bad. And after that, he just couldn't recover after that Marshall.
Wow. And other surprises here. Cole Ogden finished in second. Tanner Denny in third. Tanner Denny was the biggest surprise of all of DNC. Well,
not really.
Besides Ty not making the A. Well, why is that?
Why would you be surprised? He's got a Mugen. I mean, it's obviously the best car right now. So what are you going to do?
Is it the best car, or did they just have more time on it at that track?
It's got to be. Look, I mean, Mayfield's the best driver with the best car. He won all three classes, right? You got Adam is at 50,000 years old, and he got fifth, right? So, and he puts a lot of time in, and these guys are working. Obviously, they're putting the most time in between the three of them. So, you know, their cars, their programs, they're doing good. I mean, Tanner's normally a B main driver, and now he's in the A main and made his first podium ever. So
he was fast all weekend, and just the lines that he was taking was completely different from the other guys too.
Yeah, I think Tanner's got a lot of confidence because he knows that there's no excuse, right? He's got a car that other people are successful with, so he knows that it's just a matter of driving. He doesn't have to look at any excuse with the vehicle or whatever.
Being as you're talking about Drake, and you are a 40-plus racer, and actually this was before we recorded review, this was our RC Thought of the Week. We have a lot of people asking about Drake running 40-plus. We kind of put it like this. And you go ahead, Joseph. You tell him what it is. You explain. You're not talking much.
Just the fact that some people say that it's unfair that Drake runs 40-plus. Well, it's not unfair for the 40-plus guys. It's unfair for the pro guys because Drake gets an extra run before every qualifier and before his main. So it would be fair if you had to choose one. So the people who want to run 40-plus, they run 40-plus. And then the people who want to run pro, they run pro or intermediate or whatever. But that you can't run both because then the guys who run 40-plus and another class, they have an advantage in that other class.
Right. Well,
especially for him, because
just one more thing. So that you guys are now racing for second place because Adam is still a pro driver, still putting in the time and focusing on the pro class. He doesn't care about 40-plus. He just runs it for testing and track time and confidence and that stuff. So if you had to choose what to run, he wouldn't run 40-plus. He would run pro. And then all you guys who care about 40-plus are actually racing for the win.
Well, I mean, I really don't care that he runs it. I mean, I think it's fine. For me, I don't care. I agree with the fact that he shouldn't run it. Obviously it's not for the pro guys, right? Because they can't run it. I mean,
right, but he has an unfair advantage. I think.
Well, yeah, he has an advantage. The thing is that Adams could finish fifth place probably in that main, even if he wasn't running 40-plus. I think he's good enough that it doesn't really matter. I don't think.
Greg,
doing that.
You move. Yeah. Stop moving. You're moving all over the place. I know you are. But think about it. You know what? The last two DNCs, he's finished 7th and 5th, right? That's his best two DNCs in a very long time. Look at his truck result. He kind of blew out. I think he finished last.
I think the 40-plus helps a lot. Yeah. If I could go to any big race that I sort of put an effort into, and I'm sort of doing the best I can, and I get to run one more time than everyone else, like at the European Championship, for example, I guarantee I'd do better. Like it's a big deal when you aren't Mayfield. When you don't have the talent to just adapt and be
the thing is,
immediately, it's a big deal. Here's
the thing. He's going by what's put in the rules.
That's true.
And this race, there is no rules. And we'll get to that. So, he's 40-plus. He can run 40-plus. He can run pro. The bottom line is they need to make it, like you say, you can only pick one class. Because the race it's too long. It's too long of a day. There needs to be limited as far as if you're running 40-plus, you should be just running 40-plus. You should run 40-plus in intermediate class, right? Or 40-plus in pro.
Right.
You just pick one class to run. But these guys, it's all about profits. They're putting profits ahead of an enjoyable race, in my opinion.
It's good.
That's just what needs to be done. But it's you know, you got Truggy class. I mean, there's enough classes. You got Truggy, E-Buggy, and Nitro. Why do you need to run double classes within the class? You know, it should just be you pick one class and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Or if you make the pro main, I think the main actually helps them.
No.
Okay.
It's unfair on every level, not just the main.
Okay. But you got to understand, I think where the real advantage for him and for guys like Mayfield and Mugen and all them guys is that 30 minutes, an hour or a couple hours before the actual pro main. That's the real advantage right there. So it's going to, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take one of these drivers to think about it and protest it, and then it will stop. Or it's going to take like Joseph.
The Testaments have been crying about that for a while, but I mean, I disagree. I still think he's going to do real well. I mean,
I think he will too.
He's not going to probably podium the pro main, but you know, instead of him being fifth, if he didn't run the 40 Nova, okay, what is he going to be, sixth? He's going to lose one or two position. It's who cares? I mean, does it really matter? He's going to be in the main. He's going to do good either way.
It begins, like I said earlier in this podcast, there are two ways this is going to end. One is Mayfield turns 40 and beats Testman and Fend and these guys or whatever. And then it's, well, he runs 40 plus, so he gets track time. That's why he's winning, you know, and then they are forced to change it. Or then I turn 40 and I can finally race the 40 plus class, and then they change it. Just by dumb luck, because that's my luck. Just like Legends class. Woohoo, I can race it up. There's no more.
Well, you also kind of forced yourself out of that one too. Did you race your Legends main? No, or did you?
No, because the year I ran Legends, I was disqualified.
I know, but you ran E-Buggy.
Then there was no Legends after that.
All right. Let's just go through a few more people here that I think we should talk about. Man, Spencer Rivkin, best DNC he's had in a while. You know, he's been in the B main, I think the last 3 years I've been going. Bumped out of the B. That helped him. You could see that helped him. He finished fourth. He was battling with Tanner Danny for a while at some point, and then he finished like just under two, just like a minute and a half. Sorry, a second and a half behind him. I think this has been Spencer's best DNC, and it seemed to me like the AE cars or the AE camp on that side struggled all weekend. Hello?
Talking to me?
Yeah, anybody who wants to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, you a lot of this stuff you're asking me about these pro guys, I'm not even paying attention to half the time. You're seem to be knowing a lot more than I am.
And we also understand that you didn't get the memo for the step up. We just wanted to get your thoughts if you had seen these guys run or whatnot. But anyway, I mean, you called us up. You wanted to come on this podcast because you wanted to
talk about what we were supposed to talk about.
Let's talk about that because I got to go here in a few minutes. Okay. So
I'm going to put the video. I'm going to put the video of your race to roll here so viewers can watch it. It's going to start by you being taken out on the bridge here.
Okay, there we go.
You won't be able to see it though. So
now I think I got a little loose and maybe he got into me. I don't know exactly how it happened so fast, but I just know that we were in the lead by probably first. We were in first and second. Me and Cole Jensen we were ahead by 5 seconds at least, I think, on Paul Cicerello, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're coming up to the bridge now, actually.
And Cole wipes us off the map, off the bridge, and we end up second, third.
What a bad mark. What a bad spot for you to land. And there comes Paul. There comes Paul. Paul got lucky all weekend. He got lucky in this race at the end. He drove well all weekend, though. But, I mean, he got lucky at this.
Yeah, so anyway, right.
Yep. So what then? So he took you out.
Calls me there, right? Takes me out. We get back in the second and third. Somehow I get the lead back, right? And then I'm holding these guys off. And then I didn't even realize that Cole had cut the step off. Everyone was making a big deal like that's online about that. Then he jumped, right, and passed Cicerello in the double-double, made it a triple single. And then in the last corner, Cole runs me over while we're in first and second again. And Paul jumps over us, which was pretty cool. And I end up third. And everyone was making a big deal, like, oh, I should go up to Jimmy and protest this and that. But the truth be told, I actually had hit the brakes in that corner because if I go too fast in that corner, my car will just do a front flip. So it was a little bit of my fault that I went too slow and he ran into me, for one. I know that went too slow in that corner and he ran into me, but I don't really, what I wanted to focus on was the fact that I didn't really make a big deal like I normally would with Jimmy and, go nuts. To be honest, I really didn't care about bumping to the D main so much. I needed the wrench in my car. It was a test session for 40 and over.
Right.
You got Drake who uses the 40 and over class as a test session for pro. I use the pro as a test session for 40 and over.
Right.
So,
Joseph.
But anyways,
it shouldn't have been you know what, Greg? It should not have been a matter of you having to go up there and complain. I mean, this is blatant.
Well, right. Yeah, Scotty Ernst was I watched it the next day and he was talking about how I shoved the bump and this and that, and that's true. But, this kid, I can't really blame this kid because he's going by the rules set in place, which there are no rules. Mm-hmm. You can run over anybody you want. You can cut the track. I don't blame him. I would do the same thing if I was him, probably.
Yeah, if you're going to get away with it, in it.
Yeah, I mean, there is no rules. Go ahead.
Did they give any stop and go penalties all weekend?
No, there's no such thing as a stop and go in any race that Jimmy does. I mean, they may tell you to stop on the track, but,
right.
Like at IFMAR races or bigger races, they tell you to come into the pit lane, right? And you do your stop and go penalty that way. That never will ever happen here in America.
Yeah, it never ever will happen, especially at one of these races, which is unfortunate because we hold this race in our industries to such a high standard, right? It attracts so many people. This is what we want to present to, this is what we talk about.
These people they're just going by what rules are given to them. So I really wasn't mad at Cole after the race. They see me walking up to him and I'm going to say something to him. What I actually said to him was that nothing to do with the last corner where he ran me over and I got ruined for the bump. I actually had pointed to the bridge and I'm like, what are you doing over here on the bridge? You're like, I'm trying to tell him, we're first and second, we're going to bump, why risk, driving so close to me and running me over. I was more mad about that than the last corner of the race, actually. And that's what I had mentioned to him. That's what I was telling him when I was walking over there and talking to him. And,
what did he say?
Nothing really, there's nothing to say,
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we don't. Here's the thing. Here's where it gets different. Imagine this would have been Marco Barufalo. This is the B main. Let's say this is the B main for pro. This is Marco Barufalo chasing Don, and that's Adam Drake. And let's say who else was? Or let's just say two favorite drivers. That's Adam Drake and some other American driver. Mayfield. But Mayfield wouldn't be in the B, but you never know. But let's say that's Adam Drake and Mayfield.
Let's say he was.
Right? And Barufalo is cool. And if he did that on the bridge, he would have got a stop. He would have probably got a stop and go right off the bat. But if he would have done all of that stuff, I think they would have deported Marco right there I think they would have sent him to the airport right there from that day. And that's where it's wrong. Or had that been you who did that to somebody, let's be realistic. Come on. Like, it's a JQ car. You're going to get in trouble. I mean, I know we say that, but it is kind of true.
Okay, yeah. So, obviously, yeah. But the thing is, there is no rules.
Right.
There's rules
for certain people.
Referee, because that would be an extra person that they'd have to pay.
Is it that hard to get a referee there and to make for calls? Is it that hard?
Yeah, that's an extra $200 a day that they're going to lose in profits.
They just made $50,000, probably.
Right. That's the difference. So, a lot of people complain how Jimmy doesn't see everything. He obviously does see everything. He doesn't want to make a decision,
and he needs to get somebody that's going to make these hard decisions, because this is supposed to be the upper echelon of our industry. This is the biggest race in RC apparently. It's one of the most prestigious races, been around for 22 years. So that 22 years to get this right, but we can't get a referee. And the reason this is just ridiculous, because if you look at the RCGP race and none of this, I mean, what? I don't even know. Like, when the same track, same different race, had a referee, had everything in place, and it was a much smoother race. What they need to do is just come out right off the top. You got to start at the top. man, hand out a stop and go to any pro that does anything wrong. And I guarantee you that what shit rolls downhill. So anyway, what happens at top, everybody's gonna fall in place coming down. But nobody wants to make these decisions.
And ultimately, it really isn't Jimmy's fault. It's Joey needs to be the one that has the referees and things like that. But he should be up there doing something. But he's in the pits, socializing, things like that. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Another thing that I wanted to mention real quick is I got to go here in about 5 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Was Joseph's going to love this one. So before the 40 and over main was starting, obviously, how does your driver's stand position go, Joseph, in every race you've ever been to? You get the bigger
qualifying position,
correct?
Yeah.
So before, we're up there for the 40 and over race, getting ready to start, and what's his name? What's the TNR guy? Chris Nelson. He got up there late up on the driver. Now he was like 9th or 10th qualifier, right? So he was going to get like one of the worst, or the third to last pick on the starting position anyways, or 4th to last pick. He gets up there late and he wants to stand on the left side of the driver's stand. And it's filled with like the Losi guys, and it's Mike Morales from Mugen was over there. And he goes into Babcock to complain he wants to stand on the left side of the driver's stand. So Jimmy comes out and for some reason makes Mike Morales, who was like 4th qualifier, I think, 4th or 5th, move to the right-hand side of the driver's stand. And he had to stand next to me, which I was all the way on the right side. And anyways, and so it came in, and Drake had mentioned something up there. He's like, yeah, they made you move because Mugen's not a sponsor of the race, and TNR Fuel is a sponsor of the race. So they made him move, gave him the spot. And they wouldn't dare tell the Losi guys to move, even though they were higher qualified, because they were also a sponsor of the race. So I thought that was pretty bad.
Well,
yeah, but that's exactly what you would expect, because that's the whole problem with these races, that they are so inconsistent and there's favoritism. Depending on who you are, what the situation, then they bend the rules for you.
Right.
Or against someone else to benefit you. That's a big problem. You have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm going to get going here, but one thing I wanted to say is that, the whole incident in the E main, who cares? It was the E main with Cole. We had a good race, me, him, and Paul, and the kid drove good. It's my fault. I'm too slow. I'm in the way. He ran into me. I wasn't too mad about that, really. And the rules are, he's just driving what rules they're given. If you've never been reprimanded for doing something, you're not going to think about it in the future.
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing. And you know what? He's going to benefit better in the D-Main. He's a real nice kid. I pitted with him 2 weeks ago at the DNC, pitted next to me. And, he's got a bright future, and he needed to be in the D-Main more than I needed to be in the D-Main.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, too.
Yeah, but you would have both been in the D-Main, though. Yeah. Paul would have been out.
And he needs to learn. So you could have actually
beat Paul.
Right, and that's the whole thing. He needed to learn. I think it was a good lesson for him. He learned some things, but, it is what it is.
Hey, Greg, before you go, are you now more determined now that Chicharero finally got you? He got you in E-Buggy, and he got you in Nitro Buggy. Yeah. I love it. He finally got you. So you're at Tuesday night Nationals. Are we calling this a comeback, or you never left?
It's, I went to Tuesday night Nationals because my stuff was already in the car.
Well, you had fun, and you
yeah.
You know what, Greg? Before you go, I just want to say to people always wonder why the level in California is so high for racing, right? Is that the funny thing is that you actually were racing against all these guys, like you're racing against Chris Nelson and all these guys again 2 days after DNC. Like, that's insane. I wouldn't even want to look at a car 2 days after DNC. So
yeah, well, I had to get a win in. All right, I gotta go. My wife's crying.
All right, thank you for your time.
Talk to you guys next week or something.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you.
All right, bye.
All right. So that was 2002 world champion Greg Degani talking about rules. Joseph, it's good to hear it from somebody else, because if we keep saying it, it sounds like a broken record. You know what I mean? But rules need to be applied to everybody, and we need to hold these races at a higher standard, I would say. So, Joseph, would you like to comment on that before we move on to something else? Man, your internet's all janky. Stop watching this.
Well, not especially. I think we've covered it already.
Yeah. But let's go over real quick some of your thoughts, because Greg wasn't able to comment on them because he wasn't watching them. Your thoughts on Spencer Rivkin, and I wanted to talk about Tekno here, because Tekno had four drivers in the main. Wow, that's impressive. I mean, they had 4 drivers, and they had the one driver that everybody was expecting to be in the main wasn't. That was Seth. Jared Wiggins, man, another impressive run by Jared Wiggins. This kid, young man, is on a roll. I think I'm seeing great potential coming out of Jared Wiggins. How about you?
I was thinking actually that, Rivkin first. So Rivkin has been a bit on and off in 8 scale somehow. Like 10 scale, he's always there. 8 scale, sometimes. Like depending on the track, maybe depending on if he's comfortable with his car. Mm-hmm. So here he wasn't really, but then bumps from the B and is strong in the mains, because he's good. He's a pro, he settles down, figures it out, makes the most of his situation. So, yeah, that was good. But I was thinking about Tekno, that they are actually close to becoming what Greg was saying about Mugen now. He has a Mugen. I don't think Mugen isn't somehow
the best car.
Mugen isn't sort of significantly better than the S-Works, for example, just as they are pretty close. Like it just isn't. Mm-hmm. The thing is that they have good drivers who have been running it for a while, and they are confident, comfortable, good setups, and that's it, So I was just thinking that Tekno can become that, or they are close to that. They have Thibaut Bornhorst, what's his
Tyler
face?
Jones, Jared Wiggins.
Yeah, Tyler Jones. Tyler Jones
Seth
is really
Van Dalen.
fast, but a bit inconsistent still. And Wiggins and Van Dalen. So they have, is that 5?
That's
5 guys that are really fast, and two or three of them actually haven't really reached their potential yet. Mm-hmm. We don't know how good they can be.
Right.
So they are still improving. So we could, in a year or maybe 2, we could be in a situation where they sweep the podium, assuming that they all stay there, So it's not something that's impossible. They improve the car, they improve the drivers improve also, and we could end up being in a situation like that. So
I think, I know I'm in tooting this one for a while, and we all know that you and Tekno are not best of friends, but I really think what they're doing is really good. Like, I think they have they have their team vibe, and they do this. It doesn't seem like they really focus on anything outside of America too serious. Yes, in Europe, Tekno is in England and in England and maybe some other, it's not as popular as it is in America, but it's a very popular car. The new car seems to be doing well. People like the Truggy. You can't look, Jared Thibaut, Jared Wiggins, Joe Bornhorst, Tyler Jones. There you go. All they needed was Seth Van Dalen in there, and that would have been 5 people, 5 Teknos in, and he wasn't far off from being in it. he just had a bad qualifying, So good. You know what? I have to say, good job, Tekno. Even though nobody podiumed, you guys had 4 cars in the world and our biggest race. Super impressive. And seriously, Jared Wiggins has been. I had him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I really got to talk to him and got to see how he thinks, and is super smart. But man, I don't think Jared is as talented as, say, Tyler Jones or Thibaut or even Joe Bornhorst. He's definitely talented. I just think that this guy's working hard, man, and he understands it, and he gets it, and is racing, and is putting in work, and it's starting to pay off. Yes, he has very, very good talent, but you know what I mean. He's not Ryan Mayfield. Maybe not now. Maybe in the future he can be a Ryan Mayfield talent, but he has definitely been a sleeper, and I'm again impressed by him as well. We talked about Cav with Greg, but I just wanted to touch on him real quick. What are your opinions on Cavallari right now? You know him as a person more than me. You've hung out with him. You've practiced with him. What do you think's going on in his mind right now?
I don't know. Because he hasn't really... I mean, in that main event, if you think about it, he got beat by Drake right at the end.
Yeah.
Adam, got by and beat him for 5th place.
Yeah.
So he gets 6th place. He gets beat by Adam, who's 50,000 years old, like Degani says. He can't be satisfied. There's no way. Far from satisfied with that performance. He wasn't really a factor at any point. Mm-hmm. So and also, even in 10th scale, he wasn't really doing that well. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even in the B main or close to being in the B main at some races in 10th scale in one of the classes.
Race, I believe he was at the CRC race.
Yeah, he was B main or bottom of the A or
right.
something like that in some of the classes. So I don't know. I think if I would have to guess, then I think he expected a bit more immediately, and it's going to be a bit harder than he expected.
You know what? If we look back, because look, people be like, everybody was giving me first off, everybody's giving me shit about Fend, which is cool, which I'm probably still gonna pick him anyway, unless David Ronnefolk's there. But to be honest, and look, I like before people say I like Mayfield. I think Mayfield is incredible. Like, I think there's only 3 people right now that can probably win a Worlds, and it's David Ronnefolk, Ryan Mayfield, and maybe Ongaro. I'm not too sure about Ongaro right now. But he will get it, man. He has to just, I'm kind of just like, I didn't understand why him and Fend and all them guys were doing CRC, then they missed out on the warm-up race and all that type of stuff. So he will get it. We're talking about coming from a pillowbowl car and on different tires and all that stuff to completely switching up your program besides engines. People say, well, Tessman switched up his engine and his tires. It's like a chassis, like, you know what I mean? A chassis and tires are the 2 most important aspects of your game. So I think he figures it out. The only problem with Cav is he doesn't have much time. You know how them people are at Horizon. If you ain't making no money, you get snipped. That's how it goes. Well,
how long is his contract?
Oh, 2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
If it's 2 years, then yeah. If it's 2 years, then next year he needs to do well.
But here's the thing. Look, Cav is going to do well. I know this. I have seen this in the eyes. He will do well. I'm hoping. Because I'm a fan of Cav. You know what I mean? I am a fan of him. And he's my, I consider him like as one of the greatest of all times. He's going to go down as one of the greatest of all times ever. A lot of people don't like him because he's not sociable with it, and sometimes he's a little awkward, I guess, you know what I mean? But he's always been cool with me, and I like him. I think he figures it out. If anybody figures it out, it's Cav. Who I'm more worried about is Tessman. I think not. Like we talked about this in the thing, but now that's the true test. This is the true test for Tessman, man. Honestly. And speaking of Tessman, I have to say, okay, do we want to talk about Tyler Jones real quick? Or because
finish Tessman. Finish your thought for once in your life.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Speaking of Tessman, I looked at CJ Jellin and I thought, I bet you him and his dad feel happy about that. You know what I mean? The breakup between him and Gord and Ty wasn't too good between CJ, his dad, and there's remember Toxic and all that type of stuff they said. I heard they beat him. I think CJ had a great DNC. CJ had a great DNC for a young man that hasn't raced all year or done much. Was kind of not on the best foot going, after such a bad 2020 DNC 2020. CJ Jellin, Nitro Buggy main. I believe he made Truggy main too, as well. Not sure about E-Buggy, but great run by CJ Jellin. Your thoughts on CJ Jellin besides taking out everybody in the Truggy main?
Yeah, I thought he did really well. I haven't really heard anything about him. Mm-hmm. Hasn't been racing, I think. And then shows up at DNC, makes the main fast. So that's good.
Very good. Very good. And he's getting older now. So I want to see CJ succeed, man. I want to see CJ succeed.
How old is he?
15, got to be 16 now, I guess.
Yeah.
His voice has gotten a lot deeper.
That's still so young, though. Like, I mean, anything's possible in his career if he wants it.
He's been around for a while. Been around for a while.
It's like Fend. Isn't Fend only 23 or something
he's young.
stupid?
He's young, dude. He's just been around for so
crazy.
long.
It's like he's 10 years younger than the people he's racing. So if you think about it, he can gain the experience, start finishing races, and he can be the dominant force, you know.
He can start being dominant at 30. You know what I mean?
Ronnefalk is another one who's surprisingly young, I think.
24. Man, goes 25 soon. Or just meant 25.
It's like, what the hell?
Amazing talent, man. Amazing talent. Tyler Jones, man. Glad to see him at DNC. This is one of my favorite up-and-coming young drivers. Super fast. Too bad about Truggy when he wailed that he, went full tilt into that hay bale. First couple of corners, I felt for him. He suffered. That hurt him a bit because track time and stuff like that. Going into the next day, I would say E-Buggy super fast, but blew out. Here he had some glimmers of hope, bumped up from the B and went to the A. I think Tyler Jones goes home. I think he could have done better, but I think he should be happy with, besides braking in truck, which I think he would have really done well in as well. I think for his first DNC, he shouldn't be too hard on himself. How about you? He could have done better.
I thought it was very good, yeah. The mains didn't really, they weren't really the best. But, yeah, he was very fast, clearly, and good in qualifying. Yeah.
They don't like me calling him the dark horse, because people don't think he's going to win or something, but I think he does really good. And once again, I want to say, like, I'm really pumped for Cole. Why? Because I've always been on the East Coast guy, and Cole could have beat Mayfield, but Cole blew out, but he didn't blow out all the way like he usually does. He did little blowouts, and that's what stopped. Like, once he did those little blowouts, he kind of lost track of Mayfield, I think. But I think if he didn't have that, we would have seen a difference. I think Cole could have. I think besides the only two people that could have beat Mayfield would have been Fend and Cole, I think, and personally Danny too, maybe, but. Cole kind of got away from them guys and was battling with Mayfield for a little bit. I think he goes finally, like, on the really big stage, right? I didn't even expect him to do that this well, but then again, he was really fast at Thunder Alley too. So kudos to Cole, man. I'm happy for him. He deserves that champagne and all that type of stuff.
I picked him. Him for second, remember?
Yeah, you did. Atmosphere. I heard there's like a big party and all that stuff. My boy Chase had a big party and all that stuff afterwards. I just wanted to touch on that because I know some people are like, oh, we shouldn't do this and stuff like that. I wanted to say there's always been a social aspect of DNC. Joey always has a social. I've never been. Have you ever been, Joseph?
To the official driver's social?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, he has it at like
Honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you're invited anyway. But you
don't need an invitation,
right? But I had some people asking me what I felt about having parties and stuff at DNC. I'm fine with that, man. At the end of the day, we have to do everything within reason. Well, who am I to tell somebody not to get not to have fun at a race? Because that's what I tell everybody to do is have fun. But from what I saw, it looked like I just wanted to keep on that because it looked like it was a really great atmosphere at DNC. And we, Joseph, I know you say, do we go to this race to socialize and then race? That's what we go to. That's what people realize. This is a race to go socialize and race RC cars, like you said. We do this and we want to socialize with people and all this type of stuff. We want to have fun. RC's for everybody. I just think, the party part of it is a part of DNC. It's always been. We just got to do it within, moderation, I guess, or whatever. But, hey, it's not like everybody have fun at that party. I probably wish I would have been there. I probably wouldn't have hung out too long. But shout out to them guys, man. I think, this is what, when you think of DNC, this is what you remember. Like, oh, it was so much fun, and I had fun doing this and all that stuff. Like, you know, I remember the first DNC I went to, and I met all them crazy guys from New Mexico. Remember those guys, like Jimmy's friends? They were just there to have. They were just so happy to be there and having fun. Like, and I think, to me, that's one of the big aspects of DNC why I like it. Like that part, yes, the racing too, but the social aspect of it, and this is still a race. We're people think, oh, you guys are anti-DNC. I'm not anti-DNC. I love this race. I love the race. I love the racing. You know, I like the atmosphere and all that type of stuff. We just think it could be better if we can hold it. If we're holding this race as one of the upper echelon races of RC, it should be better, like for everybody. That's all. I finally see what you say, Joseph. You keep been saying this for years. There's no air compressor. There's no tables. Meh, no schedule. Meh, 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 meh. I see all of this. I finally get it. Like, I finally get it.
Well, that didn't take long.
I mean, I always knew it, but I guess sitting back and watching it and being there, sitting back this year and just watching it not being there, I kind of not involved in the social side. You forget about the schedules and all that type of stuff because you're having fun. I think it should be at Thunder Alley, or it would be nice if he could rotate the track, like 2 different tracks in California, but Thunder Alley is probably the best one we can have. And I don't know, man. What else you wanted to add? Did you want to add anything else to that before we go? Or like, do we have a rant? Or I actually have a rant.
Yeah, we can rant in a minute. I would just add that that's the most important point, what you just said, where it's not that we hate the DNC or don't like Joey or Jimmy or these guys. Like, that's not the point. People always focus on that. The point is that we enjoy racing, and I don't have a problem with those people either. It's just that the racing could and should be better. So because of that, that's why we,
and those 2 guys
complain and rant.
And those 2 guys have, with this race, have the influence to change things too, as well. You know what I mean? Jimmy with his series and Joey with this. But at the end of the day, we know what it comes down to, and that is that. And if we accept that and we know that it's about this, then I'm fine. I don't mind paying. Go have fun and come back, but it could be better. I mean,
yeah, but it's not only money either, because
I think he has pride in this too. He has a lot of pride in this race as well.
No, the point is that yes, to make money, that's fine, and it's sort of a safe way to do it now. It's easy enough, like, let's keep it this way.
Right.
To change stuff is always harder work.
Yes.
And there's always a bit of risk involved. But I think that to do a better job in the long run would be also financially more beneficial.
Yes.
So it's not 100% just like, oh, we want to make as much money as possible. Because if it was, they would do a better job and make more money. So, so it's also a situation where this is enough. This is pretty good. I'm comfortable. I don't want to go the extra mile. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of that involved. Mm-hmm. And for that to change, people need to speak up and say, look, we aren't satisfied. We aren't happy with this, needs to be improved. And then things will improve.
Also,
that's just how it is.
Yeah, I wanted to add, I was talking to somebody last night, and we go back to, my thing is, like, we need to use these races to get new people into RC, like, or promote, hey, this is what we do. Obviously, due to COVID, we probably couldn't have a whole bunch of spectators and announcing that this race was, going to be there. But I would like to see, and I challenge these race promoters to do this. Dave, I think I think he can do it the best. You would probably do it the best, because he has his pro mains like at a time and people can go see it. But I would like to see these races at least promote to spectators and try to get non-RC people there sitting in the bleachers and watching. And I would like to see things done properly, like maybe have a pamphlet that that new people, like, you come in and you give a pamphlet, and it just has to, you just want to try and I just want to get people there for the pro Nitro main or pro e-buggy main. People be like, oh, you only care about pro. No, but that's the upper echelon, and that's who, I watch Supercross to watch the people who are in the main, not who was at practice. You know what I mean? That's what I go to see and all that type of stuff. I like the 450 main. I'm not really too big on the 250 stuff. I like the 450 main, stuff like that. These are the best in our industry, and these are the professionals. Let's make them be professional for once, and let's try and promote these races. I know, like Manufacturers Cup is the example I keep coming back to. It was such a great race, but see, with like anything, to do things like that, it costs money, and it affects the bottom line. But I think these promoters, it wouldn't cost much money for them to promote to spectators and bring them in, and let's, like, it's kind of like this, man. I know this is a pipe dream and it will never happen, but I think it would be so cool if you promoted to this and you said to the manufacturers, hey, I want to have a manufacturer's row. Let's set up a tent here or, whatever, some stuff here, and have each driver or pro driver representing each company or whoever, maybe 2 drivers there. Have them there, man. Let's get some, like, at least you, Joseph, at least I got to give you credit. Like, you always had the dream to have the nice shirts and everybody looking, nice and somewhat professional and all that stuff. People would say we're probably the most unprofessional guys out there. But I would really like to see, like, if we treat this big, if we treat this like it's a big thing, others would be like, oh, wow, these guys are real professionals. Right now, if you went to a racetrack, you wouldn't know who a professional driver is from me. You know what I mean? And yeah. I would just I challenge these race promoters to do this. I don't care if you don't support RCGP and you don't like that and all that stuff. We want RC to be better, period. And these are the people that can do it, but I get it. I want you to make money too, but just think about how cool it could be to come into like somebody who doesn't know who's RC with their kids, and you go to a factory row and there's a pro guy looking professional signing autographs of his stuff like they do at motocross and stuff like that. For us RC guys, it might not be a big thing because we got to hang out with these guys, but for that spectator and that kid that comes in there that doesn't know anything about RC with his dad sees that and is like, oh wow, this is really a thing. Sorry, it's really loud today passing by her. This is my dream. I want to see, like, yes, we want to change RC and format and all that type of stuff and not these big races, but these races aren't going anywhere. We know this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what they can do is help promote RC, and all it takes is a little bit of effort, I would think. And he could make more money.
And that's the key thing that I already mentioned. Like, those things take extra effort, and there needs to be a sort of a will to do that, right. Something to motivate you to do that, and that's missing. So we need to add the motivation. Yes. That's what I think people haven't accepted. When enough pro drivers say that they want these things, when enough people vote with their wallet and don't go to certain races, like when people force change, then things change, So when we talk about this enough, and people realize, like, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm going to go to this other race or do this other thing. Or right. When people change their habits, then things change.
Yes.
And, it will take more people than just us talking about these things, So
if you're listening to
many of the pros already say the same things, but they don't say them in public.
Right.
Or they say them sort of in public, but privately among other pros. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they don't post it online. They don't say it when there are sort of in-group people there.
Right.
That's the problem.
See, I know this podcast is going to cause a lot of long lips. You know what I mean? My mom would say, oh, what's your lip so long when you're sulking, right? I'm not, like, I don't want people like, oh, stop pissing and moaning. I'm not pissing and moaning, man. I'm not pissing and moaning, but just, like, this can be better. Like, it can be better. Like, when... Like, as soon as you say RC is in trouble, oh no, we had 200 entries and then we go on that thing, but that's a whole another rant. You know what I mean?
So I wanted to touch on something because you brought it up. You spoke about image. I'm actually going to talk about this on my YouTube live on Friday, but I thought I might as well do it now too. So I'll share my screen here so you can see this. Mm-hmm. This is from a video. So this is an interview of Mayfield. I want you to look at this image. This is just a screenshot from a video. Mm-hmm. So you see the background, there's everything, like, it's just random.
Yes.
It's just random.
Yeah.
Here, it's some dude in a container. right? No branding anywhere. It's just some guy in a container. Well, not very inspiring. Here's some dude standing under a tent and there's no branding and it doesn't look like anything special, right? It doesn't scream professional to you, right?
No, of course. Right, I agree.
Here's some guy, again, no branding, just some random tent, some straps in the background, a power cord. Okay. Here's some guy standing, there's a big mess behind him, a trash can. You know, you see a bit of branding here. It looks like there's something going on, you know, team set up. But, you know, it's just a mess.
Right, I agree.
And then look at that.
Yep.
Looks like this guy is some sort of professional, you know, branded shirt, backdrop, looks pretty good right there, don't you think?
I agree.
Right there, interview, you know,
Madman Marco Barufalo. Oh, gosh.
Look at that. Guy? Even a Village Idiot, Gypsy can look good. Looks pretty professional, I think.
Yeah.
Like there's some sort of something's happening here. Another interview. Who does he race for? Well, that's not hard to figure out. Mm-hmm. You know, and I just wanted to share that as an example that it's not that hard. It's not impossible, but you have to make a bit of an effort.
Yes.
And this applies to everything. So to be able to have pictures and videos that look good, everyone has to sort of be on the same page. Mm-hmm. And when we were doing RCGP, people would make fun of me and not just sort of make fun, but sort of half seriously be annoyed at me because I insisted on certain things, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean the organizing staff, people involved in putting this together. Like, I'm mini Hitler, you know?
Well, I
had to be because I had an idea and I knew if I didn't put my foot down and get things done in a certain way, then it's just going to be another race. It's just going to look like everything else and nothing will change. And that was my job that first year, like come up with the idea, the concept, and make sure it works, right? Now I'm done with it. And I'm curious to see if they will be able to maintain that because it doesn't happen automatically. RC racing is too small, you know? People don't think about these things on their own. In Formula One, MotoGP, like full-scale racing stuff, they have PR people. You know, they have people who make sure everything is right. For every picture interview, everything needs to be just right and look right. In RC, we don't have any of that.
No.
It's just like talk to this guy next to the trash can with a big mess behind him. Kind of. That's normal RC. If you want to promote a better image, someone has to make sure everyone is on point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did in the first year to the best of my ability while still racing and being sort of half involved. Right?
By the way, people, it took us an entire day to make that whole shot sign at RCGP USA. And that's it. I watched you in focus an entire day to just doing that. I never forget it.
Yeah,
but it looked good when it was done. You know what I mean? It looked great when it was done. And I was like, okay, yeah, all right, I get it.
Yeah, but it's a million of those small things. Yes. That's just one small thing, but there's so many of them. Yes. And these things you have to put time and effort into it, and there's no immediate return. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it. Let's just go back here. Like,
by the way,
you can get away with this, right? You can get away with this and you can make money, right?
Yes.
If you want to do something better than this, if you want to do this, you have to put in effort and time, and you don't get any return for it immediately, at least. And I think this is just a good example of it. This is what we need to do with everything, not just the image, but the racing format itself also. Mm-hmm. And, the schedules and how new people, when they go to a race, what their experience is. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to do this on every level, not just, how to set up a video shot, but on every level. And it's just, I'm just waiting. I'm hoping there's enough people who want to go that extra mile so that we can get over the hill that we're on right now and then enjoy some, a bit of a boom again, hopefully.
I think we're almost at the top of the hill here, but it's whether we're going to fall back down this way, like back down the way we came, or if we're going to go over the hill and get ready to go over the other one. It's a very close, like, people, like, it's not, okay, we're going to go off into a rant here. It's not unfathomable to think that RC can die. Like, you know what I mean? It can die. It has died. Like, classes have died. Electric 10 scale died for a while. You know what I mean? And yeah, like I said in the 3-part video series I made, I should still make one, which is like a short one that has all the main points in it. I just haven't had time. But go and watch those on JQ Racing TV. There's 3-part video series about our industry. Right. I've actually got surprisingly good feedback for it. Just random people messaging me and thinking, like, basically saying that they watched the video and they've had many of the thoughts themselves, and now it's sort of everything clicked together, and they think, like, yeah, it's true, Like, we need to change some of the things. We need to think of the future, man. Like, I know, like I said, I know this podcast is probably gonna piss some people off, but I made a decision. We like I told you, like I said, Joseph, man, if we're gonna do things different, we're gonna have to break some eggs. You know what I mean? If you want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. And like I said, I have nothing against Joey. I'm into this race. This has treated me really good, like nice people, all that type of stuff. Like, I like that social atmosphere of it and all that type of stuff. I love it. But I think we need to do better, man. And it's not just Joey. It's RC in general.
Yeah, well, there's another thing. So if we look at all the big American races, for example, there could be a race like DNC, exactly how it is today. Mm-hmm. The problem is that all the big races are exactly like DNC. Exactly. That's the problem. So if you want to have one race that's just a big festival mess kind of thing, okay, that's fine. But when every race is that way and there isn't something different, that's a bit of a problem, I think.
Yes, I agree. And you know what, Joseph? I know we said this in the questions, but I wanted to say how happy I am once again, and I want to say congratulations to these young racers. I am so happy that even though I wanted Wally to win, I really wanted Wally to win this. I'm so happy to see that, like I said, someone told me that the top 3 of intermediate are all under 16. Frankie Contreras, who just absolutely killed it, man. I hope this kid stays in racing. He has a bright future. I don't know Davey Bata. And obviously, I think we all know who Buddy is. That's good to see because, the youth are the future, man. And I think in RC, we don't kind of see that. But here it is right here, man. We have these 3 young racers, probably, I don't know their ages, but all under 16. And they're the podium here in Nitro Buggy. And you know what? That's, I think, how it should be. You know what I mean? That's exactly where it should be. And that kid and these guys now strive to go to the pro class in the next race. I'm not taking any of this away from I wanted Wally to win. Obviously, he's driving a JQ car, but it really, really is impressive to see this. You know what I mean? No disrespect to like Don Winkelmotor and all these guys who really they do their job. They drive well and all that stuff, but it was really good to see this happen. And it gives me hope because I get tired of hearing, RC is only for old guys because people don't want to put money into, parents don't want to, mostly parents don't want to put time, and kids are different. Well, if you don't have kids, more kids and more young people coming into RC, and us old farts, we're going to die here. And then what's going to happen then? So we have to promote the youth and stuff like that. Like, I would love to just, it didn't even have to have another main. Just take the top. He could have took the top under 16 out of all of qualifying and then had a main for him. You know what I mean? A little dash for cash or something. That would have been great. But you know what? I do want to give some kudos. Do you have anything else to say before we go on, Joseph?
No, I think we've covered it all.
I just wanted to say something also. Do you want to go to a rant, or do you want to wrap it up for this week?
Well, you had a rant.
I do have a rant, but maybe we can save it. Well, you know what? Actually, you're not going to be here next week. So I just wanted to say in closing before we get off this subject. Kudos to Joey and his crew for doing a race for 22 years. It's freaking awesome, man. I love the DNC. I'm upset I wasn't there this year. It looked like probably the best one I could have attended. It looked like everybody had a lot of fun. That looks great. There are some issues I have if COVID regulations and stuff like that, but I'm not telling people how to run their lives and all that type of stuff. I just prefer that we can, at least if you don't believe in what's going on, at least use the mask so we don't look like it, people just brand us as, like these people that just don't care about anything, right? Please, I know what you're going to say. You can talk about Scotty.
I had to post it. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So Scotty gets ready for an interview with Ashton Abdul, and he just goes, like, what the fuck is that? You are not wearing a mask. Someone is walking up to you wearing a mask, and you just breathe out through your mouth for like 3 seconds for no reason. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
It's on my Instagram. You have got to admit, that was ridiculous.
I don't, just real quick, I don't want to get on this. I just don't understand why these companies don't make these guys wear them. I mean, it's a perfect product placement. Like, you know what I mean? These young kids are wearing them, and us grown adults can't do it.
I mean, at least Live RC should have.
Yes, of course.
For the interview and stuff.
You know what?
Just like every other sport in the world right now. Mm-hmm. Media, when you see it,
exactly.
It's just. Okay.
And
that's like an obvious one.
Yeah, of course. I was just like, come on, guys, come on. But kudos to those guys. They pulled off a good job. Hey, kudos to Andrew and his Thunder Alley crew. I know they bust their asses. Like, I saw Andrew out there watering. This is good for his track. Like, you know what I mean? Really good for him. They need this boost.
Yeah.
This is really good for them. Hopefully this, I say this, maybe this race can go to a different track in SoCal, a permanent track or something next year. And then they can, each race can have it each year. So this boosts their income for the year. You know what I mean? So kudos to the Thunder Alley track and all that stuff. I want to shout out to everybody who made that race awesome. Like, I heard about the party and all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. A lot of people ain't into all that stuff. But hey, it looked like a lot of fun, As for rules, like Greg said, if you don't call it out, nothing changes. So we got to call that out. And Live RC, man. I know, Joseph, you and I give Live RC a lot of crap, but they really, they really up the game. And okay, yes, the cameraman was a bit wonky, well, very wonky, but they got better. And they had a lot of cool features, and I like that type of stuff. And I like the driver spotlights, and to me, I like that. That shows that they care and they're putting effort in. And kudos to them, to Live RC, for stepping up the game and doing a good job on that sense, and for bringing us coverage. I know, look, Joseph, you're going to give them some crap and say this and that and all that stuff, but the first time back at a race of all these new cool things, let's give them, I think they're going to PNB. Let's see what they do there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little part of our DNC recap. Sorry about Degani. I know, like, you tell him to move, and I know he's moving, just like he was in his interview. I didn't know you could jump that step up. I didn't know you could jump that step up. I didn't know you could jump that step up. And also, if you're listening to this on audio, you might want to watch it on YouTube. On our YouTube channel, and give us a subscription.
Oh yeah, I forgot this is a podcast too. Right. Yeah, I was showing some pictures there earlier. So
you want to check it out, and we shared some video, and leave a sub, because I have 140 more subs, and then I got to do the Toe of Satan challenge. So
this is a good way to force people to actually go on the No Name RC podcast YouTube.
Yes, and sign up, and you get to see all the what we was talking about there. So go check that out. Joseph, you know what time it is? We did a lot of ranting on this podcast, but we have one more rant to go.
Okay, let's make it a quick one. I'm hungry.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Hey, welcome to the JQ Racing Rant, everybody. I have to wear this Mugen hat because I made a bet that Fenn would he would dominate, and he didn't. So I made a bet with Michael Kuntz, and he said you got to wear a Mugen hat on the podcast. And I dug this out because I still like Mugen. I was a big Mugen supporter. You can see all my Mugen cars there. Mugen Mafia. I'm all Mugen Mafia on the JQ Racing Rant this week. So here you go, Michael Kuntz. I'm wearing my Mugen hat. All right, Joseph. So I had this thought, and I was actually talking to somebody this weekend, and they made a great point. You know what they said? Now would be the time for a new governing body in America to come up and overtake
Why
Raw.
now?
Huh? Oh,
Why now?
I don't know. I guess because they just think Raw is completely going to die without getting any races to make money. But now would be the time.
They have like $200,000 in the bank or something.
Right. Well, now would be the time to make we need Norca or something back. Raw needs competition, man, because it's obvious that Raw is not interested in doing anything to improve.
That's the worst thing.
Oh,
the worst thing would be to have multiple federations. Well, that's the worst thing.
The best person wins. I disagree with you.
No, I heard a really good quote. It was individuals make change. What the hell was it? Individuals make change, institutions maintain it, or something, like make sure it stays. I need to look up the quote. But anyway, you get the point. Yes. Like, individuals can create the change, but it won't stay unless you have good institutions.
Agreed. I agree with you.
Institutions are the federations.
I agree with you.
Now, if you have multiple federations, it's never going to work. You need one strong federation. That's the best way. Absolutely. Especially because RC is so small. So ROAR is affiliated with IFMAR and EFRA. Mm-hmm. So globally acknowledged, recognized. This other one wouldn't be. So that would already be a big problem.
I don't care. Right? I don't think ROAR cares. I don't care.
If you go to the World Championships, you need to win the Raw Nationals or be up in the top 50 or whatever, and then you get a spot, right?
If so none cares about money.
None of the drivers who want to race internationally at Worlds, for example, would leave Raw.
It's all right.
You know,
they can still have their nationals.
Not. So having a second one doesn't work. You need to fix Raw. That's the way to do it.
You know just what?
Just like in Europe, you need to fix EFRA. Yep. You need to fix IFMAR. Yep. You can't have another one.
No. You know what, man?
That's a pipe dream.
It is a pipe dream.
And we need to fix these.
You know
That's
what?
how it is.
When an apple's too rotten, you have to throw the apple away and get a new one. That's how I look at it. And you can't cut the cancer out of Raw. Gotta go. I'm sure there's individuals inside.
Why can't you?
Because it's obvious that nobody wants. I'm sure just like in AFRA and other organizations, I'm sure there are individuals who think exactly like what we're saying right now. I'm sure there is.
The only way to do it would be if all the manufacturers that race actively came together and said, you know what,
let's
fuck
make a union.
IFMAR.
Yeah.
And if they did that and then made a new one, and then either some of the federations would join, if EFRA would join the new one or whatever, or they would be all new. Mm-hmm. That's the only way, but that's never going to happen.
I know it's not. But in America, in North American racing, it's like the Wild West right now. It's a headless snake. There's nobody steering the rudder for North American racing right now. The manufacturers are, let's be honest. So they are. And we have, you determine who your national champion, okay, the national champion is always going to be who the national champion is, no matter what. The cream will always rise to the crop. But to qualify for this race, it's just who can sign up fast enough. Here we have races.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Right. So here we have races that have no rules, no referees, dangerous obstacles that can kill people. no high-vis vests, it's little basic things like this that when I went to the UK, like if you didn't abide by the rules of the BRCA, and I'm sure they are not perfect either, but if you didn't pay a membership, you had 3 races free, and if you didn't have a membership, you had to get one right there. It's pretty simple. It covers you, and you play by the rules. It's pretty simple, like, you know what I mean? But here we have these races. There's no, like, it just comes down to this, but what we need is a governing body. I mean, most people in RC now that are racing RC cars don't even know there is a governing body of RC. Who is Roar? Nobody cares because they don't do anything. I love their race that they put on every year for the Fuel Nationals. But what does Roar do to promote RC in America? What does Roar do for RC racers? Absolutely nothing right now. It gives them some insurance. But what does it do? It doesn't give them, is Roar doing anything? Like, instead, like, Joey could have had a Roar referee come and do this race. Why? You know what I mean? Why not do things like that? Get a guy from Roar to come in and do this race to give racers a fair race. Like, you know what I mean? Something. Like, what? Like, but Roar just don't care. Pay our money, and that's all we care about. So, if they don't care, and it's impossible to get it to change, obviously it can't change because people have been trying for years, then, like, just get rid of it and start all over again, or just let them do what they do, and you start another one, or a group of people get together and start a new one that's better. And then people will see they don't need Roar. And then Ifmar would say, well, we want money, so you got to join anyway. But that's the only way I can see things changing. It's just start over again. It's the corruption and the cancer.
President of IFMAR a guy from Roar
exactly.
right now?
The cancer is...
that's never going to change.
So, but he won't be
work with Roar.
He doesn't get to be in... Well, when nobody's paying the memberships, then it doesn't matter, innit? That big race that they have every year, that nobody goes to that, then what happens?
Yeah, but everyone would because they want to go to the Worlds, don't you understand?
Yeah, well, make another Worlds. Make a whole another Worlds. Because the cancer's too deep.
It's not going to work.
Or get the people that are... We have to figure out how to get the people that are not... Who are stunting the growth. Get them out and get people who want to make change happen. That's what you should do.
The only way to change it is to work with the federations we have now and change them. And the only way to do that is to get the manufacturers to care enough about the hobby or sport as a whole, instead of just focusing on themselves and their own sort of benefit, to get them to work together and force change. That's the only way. But the problem is that the companies who are doing, well, actually pretty much all, regardless of if they are doing well or not, the way most RC companies think is, if I do A, I benefit. Great. If I do B, I benefit, but other companies also benefit. Okay, I'll do A. That's how they think. They do things that benefit themselves and no one else. That's what their goal. Why should we do something that benefits someone else? That's how they think. Some people have even said that outright. Like, why should we do this? Because it benefits other companies also. Mm-hmm. That's the way they think. So as long as this is the way they think, the companies will never come together for something better. Do you see what I mean? Even if it benefits themselves too. It's because others benefit alongside them. Somehow that's bad.
I agree.
That's why they can't all agree. Like, hey, let's all agree to all go to these races, or let's all agree to do something to improve the industry, whatever it may be. Like, let's all agree to put some money in a pool to get better media coverage at all these races. That never happens, because it's like, why should I pay into this media pool? Or why should I pay into this pool of money that sends Control and RC Racing TV or Live RC to some race to cover it? Why should I do that when others also benefit? That's how they think. Yeah, it's so stupid and short-sighted, but that's the world we live in. We have to deal with that, and we have to figure out a way to get it done anyway.
I agree. I still think we should just start over, but I get it. I understand what you mean.
No, you can't start
I know
over.
we can't, but why not? Norco was around.
I just explained to you
But
a few reasons why not.
Guess what?
It's not going to work.
Well,
no,
you never
trust
know.
me.
You never know. Either we cut the cancer out or just put a bullet in your head and go. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. If they stop, if people stop supporting it, do you think if the manufacturer didn't send their races to the Raw Nationals, do you really think Raw would be like?
Will.
No. Listen. Say all the manufacturers refuse to send their top people to the Nationals.
Why would they? No.
Let me finish. Say every manufacturer got on board about this and said, no, we're not going to do this. What if they didn't send and still people went? Do you think Raw is going to send? What if I go and I finish first at the National? You think they're going to send me to represent America? Well, I can't represent America anyway, but you know what I mean? It's never going to happen, obviously.
No, I don't know what you mean, because I just said that they would never do that.
I know they wouldn't do that.
Because
but
they want to go to the Worlds. And to go to the Worlds, you have to go to the Raw Nationals. So they go to the Raw Nationals. Which part of this don't you understand?
You know what? I understand that, Joseph. I understand all of that. I just don't care. We need to change it. Simple as that.
Yeah. People like you are not the people who make change with that attitude.
No, but
I don't care. I just want change. You have to fucking think about it and do something that can.
I just think we need to start over.
Change.
I think we need. I just think we need to start over because too many people have come into Raw who probably think like us, and then they just get tired because the hierarchy is just too hard. You know what I mean? It's ingrained. Like, how are you supposed to do this and get anywhere when you got good ideas, but your hands are tied? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just like EFRA.
Yeah,
same thing.
The same thing. So they're all suffering from the same thing. We have people who want to make change, but their hands are tied.
Manufacturers have to come together. That's
I agree. Pretty much. If they just come together and say, hey, we're not going to support these races, we're going to do this. Don't get me wrong. I love the Worlds. I want the Worlds and everything to happen. I love the Nationals race, but I just getting kind of tired of like the hypocrisy and just the bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just heard and like Raw, no, like, let's be honest. Raw doesn't give two fucks about RC racing in America. I just don't think they care. They care about that big race that they have every year that they sell out in 10 minutes on the internet and make a big chunk of change. That's all they care about. All they care about. They're no different from when we talk about it's all about the money with these other races. Raw is no different. No different. They want to make the money. I wish they could do things because they can make a change in RC. So, I don't know. Should we start all over, people, or should we do what Joseph said? I'm interested to see what people think about this in the comments. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments this week. Joseph, anything to add before we sign out here? You know what, Joseph? I forgot.
Nope.
I forgot. You know what I forgot to do?
No, I don't.
Being as you went and got a haircut today, it's time to do an ad read for manscaped.com. Joseph, being as you're looking all fly and you're all trimmed up, you know, got your haircut and looking all spiffy, it's time to get your bottom parts looking all spiffy. So you need to use a Lawnmower 3.0 with a light that's waterproof so you can get down into those nooks and crannies and get a clean shave and not nick your nuts. You don't want to nick your nuts. Not right now, Joseph. It would be bad. So you should go to www.manscaped.com. Use the promo code NONAME in all caps. Save 20% off your order and get yourself the Lawnmower 3.0 kit with the Beluga underpants, your ball deodorant, your spritzer, and they even have ball wipes. Check out manscaped.com, showing Manscaped support, shows the podcast and support, and trust me, cut through the jungle to find your manhood, and your wife will thank you. Thank me for thanking you, or whatever. So check them out, manscaped.com. Joseph, I think that's it. What are you pulling up here?
Let's look at Raw financials.
Okay. I can't really see this, but hold on, let me
wait.
I can see it now.
Wait a minute. Share the whole screen.
I got it. I just put it on full screen. Don't worry.
Yeah, look at this. So they have, this is the last one they have. 2016 on their website. So they have over $200,000 in the bank. That's what I remembered. They pay someone $30,000 a year to, do whatever they do the work.
What?
$145,000 on nationals and world's expenses. Now, I bet a lot of that is also just travel and wining and dining. I can't see them paying that much to the organizing club. Right?
But this is for Raw, not for...
Yeah, this is wrong.
World Championship expenses. What are they doing? Why do they have World Championship expenses?
I don't know. Maybe if there are worlds in America, then they give some money. Or then it's just, let's go to the worlds,
I mean, are they paying...
travel budget? I don't know. Insurance, because it's America, it's big. I mean, insurance, I can't remember. FROI was quite low, if I remember correctly, like a couple of thousand. Here's $30,000.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Office supplies, yeah, fine, whatever. But then postage and mailing, $4,000. Telephone, fax, email, $2,000. Who has a $2,000 phone bill? I don't know. Website expenses, $3,500. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here.
Oh, sorry. Go up here to
yeah.
National entries $105,000.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up for this reason, because you said, what does Raw do to promote RC? This is my favorite part of it here. $6,000 promotional expenses. That's it. That's the
oh
good,
my
good
gosh,
bits.
Man! Imagine if they took some of this $42,000 that they did to go to the Worlds, and put that here in that $6,000. How much better they can do? Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I would like to know what this is. This $145,000. Like, do they really, like, when you have the Raw Nationals? How do you really get that much? How many nationals are there a year anyway?
You have
how many different nationals?
You have obviously all the on-road ones. You have the 10 scale nationals. You have the 8 scale fewer nationals. You have ENATs, which is small.
Like, do they all get $10,000 from Raw or something?
No idea. I would have. I mean, I'm sure. I hope.
Well, you know what? You know how I know what this is. You know what this is? It's because they get all the entry money, right? Mm-hmm. And some of the entry money goes to the
club
organizer.
Right. I can't see them putting $100,000 into the nationals. I just don't see it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
Because they even get people to sponsor the nationals. So I don't see them putting $100,000 into the national expenses.
It must be the entries.
Yeah.
There we have nationals entries, 105,000. Nationals expenses, 103,000.
Maybe we need to get them on her to talk, but they don't answer emails. So.
Yeah, it's probably that way. So the entry money, they get their membership fee, they keep that, and then the organizer gets the entry fee, something like that.
All right. Sweet. Well, there we go. Again, you will have to watch this podcast to see all of this stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, Josie. You know what, though? I did want to say something. I think we found the new J Smoker, but the younger version. I was watching him. He was the only one doing the quad.
Who's that?
It's Spinrad. Walker Spinrad. Spin Daddy. He was the only guy sending it through those quads in his A main. I loved it. He was the only one. I mean, he didn't do it every lap. He crashed a lot, but it looked good when he did it. So what's up, Spin Daddy? We got to get a better name for you, though. I don't know. We can call you Guy Cooper or something like that. Some 1980s or 1990s motocross guy that used to send it without responsibility. But congratulations to him, man. He's killing it. I liked it. I like seeing that. Jay Smoker's going to have to pass the flag to him. It's going to be like, now you got to run this little tag on the back of your wing if you really want to be Smoker. So, good stuff. Yeah. Ended on a good note. Joseph, it was good to get back on the podcast with you. It's been a while. I don't think we're going to have you on here for a minute because, you got some things coming up here soon, I would say.
Yeah, going for some testing finally. Woo-hoo. 8 scale.
Yeah. Can we tell people
Next
where you're
week.
going?
Well, they'll find out.
You don't want somebody's gonna say
secret location next week.
Oh yeah,
in the sun.
In the sun.
Having fun in the sun.
How long will you be away for?
10 days.
Okay. So I don't think we'll have you on the podcast for another 10 days then, I would say.
Yeah, maybe I can if the Wi-Fi is good.
Okay. Thank you for your time. It's been enjoyable having you back on, man. If you guys missed it, we did some lives with Max and even called out Brent this past weekend from DNC. I am going to get those up on audio. Thank you guys for, I guess what, hey man, people, please, I know we're going to be pissed off a lot of people this week, but hey, DNC was awesome. It can just be better. RC is awesome, but it can be better. It can be better if we all work together. That's how it comes down to. We can grow RC.
Invisible Speed book is awesome and it can't be much better.
There you go.
There we go.
I haven't even started reading it yet. I have a whole bunch of books that I need to read. Hey man, thank you. I had fun. I had fun with this part. It was great. Good to get Greg back on her. Now we need to get him back on her to tell some stories. But hey, thank you to all of the NNRC listeners around the world, the NNRC squad. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Keep sending me those readers' rides. I'm posting up on Instagram and enjoying doing that. Spreading, trying to grow RC different, my own little way, trying to do my little things and for RC. So thank you for that. Thank you to all the patrons. You know what? I got to say thank you to a special patron, Joseph. And even I showed you this and I was super pumped. I have to say, I'm actually very proud of this. I'm proud of all my patrons, but, I got a special patron and there's actually a world champion. And should I say his name or should I, I just want to say thank you. Should I say his name, Joseph? Do you think he wants it done?
Ask him when you have him on.
All right, but, hey, when you got a world, it's not an offer a world champion, but when you got a world champion that pays into your Patreon, you must be doing something good. And he sends you a good note and says he listens to you while you're wrenching. The patrons is what keeps this podcast alive. Like the patron part of this podcast is what's going to help this podcast go to races and stuff like that and do different things. So, and you help keep some of these bills paid her because, hey, you got bills to pay. So I want to say thank you to all the patrons. If you wish to be a patron, you can. The links on the written description. Joseph, you have links to, I should put links to your Patreon and her too. If not, please go over and check Joseph's channel, JQ Racing. We need to get him to 10,000 subs so he can go to Kyosho Masters with a Kyosho.
I wonder if the Kyosho Masters is happening.
You would have to talk to Savoya because it's in France.
Oh, no, right? I remember this. Yeah, I checked this. So there's a problem. The RCGP and Kyosho Masters are on the same date.
In June?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hoping RCGP happens. I'm hoping RCGP happens. Please happen. Because I want to go to Portugal.
Yeah.
So go check out Josie and sign up to his thing. Also check out Max Mort. He's been coming on her and help him get to 1,000 subs. Remember, when I do 1,000 subs, I'm going live and doing the Toe of Satan. Also, I have another Toe of Satan here, and I'm looking to help any RC. If there's any GoFunds out there or anything like that, or anybody trying to raise money for any RC racers or anything out there, let me know because I need to do a Toe of Satan challenge to help raise money for them. I like to do something every year for some charity or for some racer, and I didn't do one in 2020. So I would like to do that this year. So if anybody has any suggestions, I don't mind a little bit of pain if it helps raise money for somebody that needs it. And I will do it for my YouTube, or maybe I'll get something else. I'll do something else hot or something super sour. Shout out to all the sponsors of the podcast. Mayako, obviously. Tekno RC, great showing for them. JQ Racing, shout out to all my JQ Racing family. Don't worry, guys. We ain't going nowhere. We're only multiplying. Beach RC, thank you, Brent, for going out there and, having fun. I'm glad you went out there. Sun City RC Raceway, they got the TNR fuel race coming up next month. Don't forget to show them some love. Racecraft USA, get yourself a command module, man. Chasing those guys. I love their advertising, cool dudes. And he should be getting his board soon. So check them out. Manscaped.com. Go get yourself a lawnmower. All promo codes on the written description. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic. I think I'm going to have Scooter on next week to talk about his product and all that type of stuff. Great dude. We want to get his product into the off-road world more. He's an oval guy. Wally Builds. Please show. Wally is trying to make differences in the industry too. He's got some really good programs and all that stuff. He doesn't just build cars. He's doing training. He's doing training sessions and stuff like that. So hit up Wally. House of RC. Ooh. I heard something's coming tonight for House of RC, so keep your eyes on, well, not tonight. By the time this is released, you'll know, their app will be out. So, hopefully. And, hey, man, who am I missing? RCGP. It ain't going nowhere. I have one. You know what? One thing before I go. You guys, if you don't agree with RCGP and what it does and all that type of stuff, that's cool. But I would implore you to use some of the methods that RCGP done. Maybe you don't have to do their format and stuff, but just think about it. They actually went out of their way to have staff. They had referees. They had Stefan. You had announcers. You had race directors, all this stuff. They went out of the RCGP format to having people to do things properly, made it fair for everybody. So what if Mal pissed off Elliott Boots at the race? He made it fair for everybody. And that's what has to happen. It has to be fair for everybody. We are racing. It's supposed to be fair. So if you don't like it, but just think about that stuff. Okay, rant over. And, of course, JQ Threads, man. Shout out to you, Joseph. And
you still haven't fixed the logo.
What logo? Oh, down here?
JQ Threads logo.
Oh, I got to get on the Barbarian about this. He's doing all this type of stuff. So we have a couple more sponsors probably coming on her later on. So we'll see. Hey, Joseph, anything to add before we sign out here?
Goodbye.
Everybody, Nitro is the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty. Let me get this right. Lefty. Out.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. We greatly appreciate all the support and love from you, the listeners. Without all of you, none of this is possible. Special thanks to our patrons on Patreon. If you wish to support the podcast further, you can at patreon.com/NNRC podcast. As a patron, you will receive early releases, special content, and patron-only giveaways. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, www.nnrcpodcast.com. Remember, Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. If you aren't having fun, it doesn't make sense. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty out. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory.
That wasn't so bad.